Boom. There we are. There's supposed to be some cool little intro music shit playing with a little video thing. I'll play it if you want to see it, but whatever. We're going to push the Master Debaters to next week. We had a couple people drop off. I had some technical issues, so it's not their fault. It's my fault. Blame me. It's always my fault. Change of itinerary. Yes. Change of itinerary people is what he says, because he didn't, put that little comma there to separate. We're changing itinerary people. All right. So
don't you grammar Nazi me.
That's the only thing I can do to you, Mr. Research. All right. So here's the thing. Right before we decided to go ahead and go with the stream, even though we're not doing Master Debaters, I have been playing around with this idea to unpopular opinions with Johnny O. That's gonna be like a new thing. It's gonna be like a really quick, like 2-3 minute little bullshit video that I'll put on YouTube sometime during the week just for fun. But we started talking about Top Gun, and here's an unpopular opinion for you. Top Gun sucks. It is a shit movie.
Okay, before we get into this, a little update for the live chat is
yes.
Currently, usually I use my phone to watch the live chat, so I can keep up with what people are saying there. Currently, my phone is dead, and I without the means to charge it at the moment. My wife is currently using the charger in the other room, so I can't see the live chat. And if I have YouTube running at the same time as I have Skype running, it's going to cause problems. So as far as audio goes, but either way, I can't see what the chat is saying. But yes. If you say something to me, unfortunately, I won't see it, so I'll rely on Johnny to pick that up.
Yeah, specific questions, just tag me, and then I'll read them out for JL.
But you're fucking wrong.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you're fucking wrong.
Here we go. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about how shit of a movie this is.
So it's a shit movie.
It's a shit movie. What's the plot of Top Gun?
The plot of Top Gun.
Yeah.
Is guys flying F-14s.
That's not a plot.
At the time, that is a plot.
That's not a plot.
It showcased the Top Gun school. That's not a plot. The Top Gun school at Fighter Town in Miramar.
That's not a plot.
That was the whole point. The plot was showcasing a little known at the time. Not much was known about certain aspects of the military, and this was like, hey, did you know that there is this badass school where the best of the best pilots go to train and learn? And this is a kind of, obviously this is a movie about that, but they literally shot it out in Miramar.
So what you're doing, what you are describing is a television commercial, not a film.
No.
Yes.
It's an action movie.
No.
Actually, you can see.
Okay. Let's talk about. Hang on a second. Let's talk about the quote action in this action movie. It's garbage.
How is it garbage? How is dogfighting F-14s versus Russian MiGs? Though they expressly never say Russia.
Aha! See, that's the thing. I was about to say, are you sure they're Russian MiGs?
They never expressly state that they're Russian MiGs.
Part of the problem.
It is implied that they are Russian MiGs.
Sure, it's implied, but how? Just because they say MiG?
For the purpose of the story, you don't need. You could just say that at the time, in the narrative of Top Gun, there was an enemy there was a conflict going on at the time, and those were the enemies. Now, they used the MiG because the Russians were very fond of the MiG fighter at that time. So you could put one and one together. They didn't need to overtly state that it was Russian.
Maybe not.
Okay, but I mean, come on. Directed by Tony Scott and produced. What was it? One of the early films, Don Simpson and John Bruckheimer. I mean, Jerry Bruckheimer. This is where that action, this is the action that led us to things like Bad Boys and the whole Bruckheimer thing,
Yeah, I don't like Bad Boys either.
It worked Michael Bay's career, but yes, this is.
Whoa! Did you say Michael Bay? Did you say Michael Bay?
I'm not saying that I'm saying stuff like Bad Boys 2 and which I actually have.
You mean
respect
Mr.
for.
Explosion?
Yes.
You're not helping your case right now.
Did PhD Tony just try to call in?
I think so. PhD Tony, are you trying to get in on this? Because if you are, all right, hang on a second. Hang on, PhD Tony. I'm going to get you in here. Boom. All right, you're added to the call. Should be ringing you here in just a second.
But the whole point of the film is about following Maverick and Goose when they are given
I
the
am trying to get in on this. How are
Yeah,
you guys?
there he is.
hey.
All right, let me make sure that you're coming through. All right, doctor.
But seriously, but the whole point is just following Maverick and Goose when they're given the chance to train at fighter weapons school in Miramar at Top Gun.
Yeah, that's
and,
thin at best.
and then it follows that, and then the competition for to be the best, and then drama occurs. He falls in love with the flight instructor. The comedy of the comedy of Anthony Edwards that he brings to it, and then obviously his the death of Goose, and then of course him overcoming to it's good. It's a good basic action movie.
I'm glad you said basic because it is that.
Well, it doesn't strive to do anything greater than what it is, which is a hallmark of a good action movie. It doesn't drown itself in exposition.
But you don't have to drown yourself in exposition to have exposition that's good, that helps the action film. Look at Lethal Weapon. It doesn't drown itself in exposition, but it's a far better action film than Top Gun. Far better.
That's a different action film. That is a cop action film. This is a
military.
Oh,
for fuck's sake! Film. It doesn't. Okay, fine.
It doesn't make a difference.
We want to go military. We want to go military action film. How about Platoon?
Platoon was good. Okay. I personally favor Full Metal Jacket.
All right. I don't know if I would consider Full Metal Jacket a straight action film, though.
There's a lot of drama in both of them.
There's not a lot of drama in Top Gun. So Goose fucking snaps his neck. Big fucking deal.
Oh, now you're going to shit on the death of Goose. That's blasphemy.
That has got to be the most absurd death. That is so bullshit. That would not happen.
That happens.
Oh, I want to see. What is the famous quote citation fucking needed? You go look it up. I want to know how many times somebody has snapped their neck dead in a bailout.
I can't think that the rate is very high. I have to say, I'm going to side with Johnny O on this one.
See, I got Dr. Tony on my side.
I don't think very much of Top Gun as a film. It has some very impressive flying sequences, and if that's what you want to watch a film for, that's great. That'll impress you. But I have to say, I don't particularly think much of Top Gun. But I'm a weirdo, so what would I know?
Well, you obviously know the truth.
Yeah, obviously.
Oh man, I just don't. I've never been. I mean, I enjoy Top Gun for what it is, but it's like I enjoy The Pest for what The Pest is.
Oh, with John Leguizamo?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it didn't strive to be anything more than just a silly fucking movie, like like Strange Wilderness or Pineapple Express.
Exactly. Which is what I think that Top Gun is, just a silly movie, just a silly action movie that didn't really strive to be much of anything else. Elliot Moon says Top Gun was a love story.
That's one of the hallmarks that makes it a good action movie, that makes it a classic action movie, because it doesn't go beyond that.
The reason why people like it so much is because back in the 80s, people had a raging boner for military films.
So what does that have to do with anything?
Then there was some semi homoerotic volleyball scenes that really tickled people's fancies.
Yeah, he's gonna dog the volleyball scene because it made him feel squirrely in his pants.
No, it didn't make me feel squirrely in my pants at all. It didn't. I was just wondering, why the fuck is Maverick wearing fucking jeans in a beach volleyball scene?
Because it was the 80s.
I know it was the 80s, but they had Speedos in the 80s. If you want to go homoerotic, you might as well fucking go all out.
I have to say, there's some very confused filmmaking in there. I don't particularly, the impression I get is that this guy was just throwing together a bunch of 80s crap onto the screen, and if I really wanted a film that epitomized the 80s to me, I'd be watching The Secret of My Success or something, or Wall Street or something like that. I really, when I think 80s, I want somebody snorting coke off a prostitute. That's 80s to me.
You're thinking like Risky Business.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, like Risky Business, or oh god, I just had another one on the tip of my tongue. Damn it. Oh well, but yeah, or Say Anything or something of that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to talk about good 80s action films? How about Commando?
Commando was an excellent action.
And there's you.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I'm afraid. To me, Commando is again a really weird film in the sense that it's a bit silly to be what I consider to be a good action film.
Okay. All right. So we'll put
so-
Commando in this. How about? Okay. Wait a minute.
Well, I'm curious,
Hang on a second.
Hang on a second. By example to other Schwarzenegger action movies of the 80s,
Yes.
like Red Dawn, like Red Heat,
Right.
or
Okay, Red Heat I actually quite enjoyed. Commando
Okay.
was just a bit too silly for me. And I mean, I love Dan Hedaya. I'm not sure I would have cast Dan Hedaya as the central American drug dictator, but
I don't think he fits the part.
I don't think he fits the part. One of my favorite 80s action films, actually, I'm skipping subjects here, is actually Running Scared. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that. Weirdly enough, it stars Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines. It's a funny film, but also reasonable enough. That's again which I'm transitioning into cop action films. But Red Heat I quite liked. Yeah.
Okay.
Commando was just a bit too silly for me.
I agree that Commando was silly, but it was a fun silly, and it had better action sequences than Top Gun. That's all I'm saying. All right. How about First Blood?
First Blood. Now, First Blood's a really interesting film, isn't it?
It's okay. I like the idea of the lone wolf soldier.
Yeah.
Is kind of like in the lone wolf warrior, the warrior by himself is classic storytelling. That trope has been used obviously for as long as humans have been around. The warrior that goes out and does everything from Yojimbo to Gilgamesh and going on, and then you just see it change over time. I like the concept of Rambo, and I like that Rambo has become so iconic. I actually think it's sillier than Commando.
Really?
All right.
Just in its absurdity.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay, yeah. I'll give you that. All right, then. So we're going to move away from Rambo. All right, you want to talk about pinnacle 80s action that had excellent exposition, excellent character development, and an insane story that could never happen in real life.
The Golden Child.
Die Hard.
Die Hard. Yeah.
Now, Die Hard is quintessential Christmas action.
Yes, it is a Christmas film. It is a Christmas film.
It is a Christmas movie.
Damn it!
I am going to accept that it is a Christmas film, and I'm going to. But there were a couple of. There are some elements of it that I think speak to an unpleasant underlying political outlook from the from the author. One of them being sort of the chubby police sergeant's character arc being that now he can shoot people again.
Yeah,
and this is a triumph. I really think that that's actually problematic, and I always have done.
Well, so here's the thing that's really problematic about that. If he was gun shy, there's no way he would be walking a beat. He would not be. Yeah. He would be at a desk, so he wouldn't even have been in that situation to begin with. Had he suffered that type of mental break with being able to pull his weapon, especially in Los Angeles, he would not be. He wouldn't be a beat cop. He would be at home are in a behind a desk working
He'd be-
internal
yeah, he'd
affairs
be-
or something.
Yeah.
So plot
And-
hole.
and- and the entire design of the electromagnetic lock makes no sense
No.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the seven lock vault that they were trying to?
Well, the fact that if you cut power to an electromagnetic vault, the vault will open. Nobody would design a vault that way.
Yeah,
right?
that's just stupid.
The
That's
default
asking.
position would be locked. And why does it matter if you cut the wire that's in the office or the wire that's down the street? That just makes no sense. Power off is power off.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
The vault
And,
can't-
see, here Tony's going all like hardcore about like the technical details of like the vault and stuff like this.
Well, I agree.
And I'm sitting here thinking, this motherfucker tied a fire hose to himself and, jumped off. And it's the vault that gets Tony. He's like, I just
Yeah.
that's not
Well,
right.
but I mean, but if you think about it, if that vault wasn't so piss poorly designed, we wouldn't have had the opportunity to tie whatever hose around there. You know what I mean? So we don't get there. We have to start where the problem is, and the problem is that vault. That is such a shittily designed vault that anybody would have tried to fucking rob that motherfucker. I mean, all I gotta do is turn the power off and the fucker will open. Shit, yeah. And you keep
the one that always took it out of me was when he was in obviously the ventilation shaft scene is epic, you know. Come to the coast, we'll get together, that whole thing.
Yeah.
But when he's hanging in, I don't know why they would build a shaft like that in it's not an elevator shaft in a skyscraper. It's just like this hole. Yeah. But he's hanging on one side. He's trying to make it to the other side, and he falls.
Yeah.
But when he falls, he bounces off the wall.
Yeah.
And he's going straight down, but he still manages
at that point, he's dead.
Yes.
Right?
He drops like two shorts, and he still catches himself by his fingertips. I was like,
no.
Yeah, I got
it. He's dead. Like, I saw him bounce off, and I just thought, okay, he's dead. That's it.
He's dead. He's gone.
He's gone. Okay. He's got magnetic hands.
Yeah.
It's like Schwarzenegger and Predator. Everyone who gets shot with that plasma caster is smoked instantaneously.
Except
Schwarzenegger takes a hit, and it's just a gray shot right in the arm. It's like, oh, but
and see, the thing is, everybody talks about Chuck Norris being the ultimate badass. I disagree. Look at fucking Schwarzenegger. Gets shot by the Predator, kills the Predator. What the fuck?
Yeah. This actually reminds me of one of I think my favorite Schwarzenegger film, and this is going to be a wildly unpopular choice, but it's actually Last Action Hero.
I disagree. I think that would be an excellent choice.
I love that film.
No, that is an excellent choice. Last Action Hero was fantastic because it came out at a time when meta filmmaking was not a big thing.
Right.
It was ahead of the curve.
Exactly. So when it came out, it got a lot of hate because it was ahead of its time. Had that movie come out 4 or 5 years later, it would have been, everybody would have been, wow, it's fucking great, it's awesome. Because if you look at the cult following it got 4 or 5 years after the fact,
it was incredibly smart.
It really was.
Just seeing Schwarzenegger talking to himself.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't really like you. You cause me nothing but pain.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's see here.
And when as he's wandering in, he's being such a dick to his wife. Like, the real Schwarzenegger is just such a douche. And I've always thought to myself, you have to have some degree of self-confidence and self-awareness to just let it be. Okay, in real life, Arnold Schwarzenegger is a bit of a douche. Okay, fair enough. I do like it. Very, very much.
All right, so Ilya Moon in the chat. Let's see what we got here. Ilya Moon says Howard the Duck.
Ooh.
There you go. Early Marvel.
Yep, early Marvel. And then let's see.
Trouble in China. Jessica.
Yep.
That is the most fantastic call.
Oh, Big Trouble
I love
in China?
Yeah.
And then we have The Goonies. I don't know if I would call The Goonies 80s action. I mean, maybe adventure.
80s adventure. That'd be an adventure flick.
Yeah. The Terminator. There's another one that is far superior to Top Gun.
The Terminator is horror.
Oh no, it's more science fiction. Terminator is science fiction.
That is a, but not because the second one was more sci-fi action.
Well, sure.
Terminator 2 was sci-fi action. Terminator 1 was a horror film. That was
I'm going.
That was, yeah, go
I
ahead.
don't know about that.
No, I'm going to come down on JL's side on this one. I think that
that's fair. I mean,
the Terminator is a relentless embodiment of unavoidable doom. That's basically what it is. And this is about an impersonal, malicious force tracking down somebody and being unstoppable. That's what that film is about. And I kind of think that the horror element there is really, really strong. So I'm going to come out.
I
mean, come on,
that,
you imagine that when Reese is having his flashback, and he is and he's when he falls asleep, and he has that nightmare where he's back in the future, and the Terminator busts in, the different one, and just starts mowing people down. It has that moment when the picture's burning, he's laying on the ground, he's like, and then the thing is walking down the hallway with those red fucking eyes and all that blue light behind him, just like mowing people down. I was like, that is a fucking horror film.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely some frightening elements in that film. But yeah, I could see that as being more. I've always leaned on that one being more science fiction. When I think sci-fi horror, I think Alien, not Aliens. That's sci-fi action or sci-fi horror action. But I think Alien is like that is the quintessential science fiction horror.
Science fiction horror. Yeah,
it doesn't get any better than that.
Well. I'm going to suggest that it slightly does because I like the Thing just a little bit more than I like Alien, but that's
fair.
But you know, I can't flat out call you wrong. I'm not going to say, the Alien's a crap film. Get this shit out of here.
You just don't like it because all of the reverse rape. That's why you don't like it, because it makes you uncomfortable.
Wow, PhD, Tony, you really don't like the first Alien film?
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I like it slightly less than the Thing. I like the Thing. You know, I am not saying that's a piece of crap. Get it out of here. I am saying that I like the Thing slightly more than I like Alien. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I really dug that because Ridley Scott went above and beyond.
Yeah.
With the subversive gender reversal.
Yeah.
And that's why it was so terrifying. I love that concept.
One of the coolest things that kind of that like really foreshadowed that is that you've got these people who are in a more of a Navy type situation, so they could be considered seamen, right? Well, I mean, seriously, if you look at the opening, well, not the opening scene, but if you look at the when Dallas and the rest of the crew, they're going into the space jockey ship, and they go into that hole that looks like a vagina, and they're very tiny when they're entering in that hole. I mean, there is so much sexualized symbolism in that film.
And the one thing,
technically, that's chthonic imagery. Is that right?
Yeah, you could say there was a Lovecraftian bent to it because all of it came from Giger's work.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said Giger.
And yes, it's H.R. Giger.
I get in so many arguments with people. It's Geiger. Like, fuck off, dude.
Yeah, H.R. Giger. So much of it came from Giger's work, and Giger's work was heavily inspired by the mythos. By particular elements of the mythos. So so I could definitely agree with that. What stuck with me the most, obviously what made Sigourney Weaver so fantastic is it's supposed to be, this is hundreds of years in the future. These are officers aboard a ship. So there is a military hierarchy. There are also civilian contractors on this thing who are working with the military as a mining operation. And yet every single person on there, because Ripley's the strong one, and Lambert was the weak one.
Right.
Yep,
okay, so nobody gave Lambert any shit because she was submissive. Sigourney is the exo, and she's fucking strong as shit.
Yep.
And everyone on there gives her crap at every stretch.
Yes.
That they can.
And she is so right. When they bring him back on board, she says that's against protocol. He should be in quarantine, right? And she is exactly fucking right. Listen to her.
The captain's overriding her. The medical officer supposedly is overriding her ass.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. And see, and that's the thing, right? That tells you right there that I did a whole fucking paper on this shit. That was part of my It was part of my thesis paper. Well, I did 2 thesis papers really, but this was part of my thesis paper for world literature.
Yep.
And I focused on the sexual tension in that film, and I got a lot of pushback from my professor about that. He's like, "Oh, I don't
really?
know. I don't know if that's the route that he was going for." I said, "Dude, are you fucking kidding me? Have you not looked at H.R. Giger's work?"
Oh yes.
Ridley
yes.
Scott specifically picked H.R. Giger's design for the alien. I mean, it's not an accident. This wasn't an accident. And if you look at H.R. Giger's work, I mean, it's like dicks and vaginas everywhere.
It's extreme. Yeah, it's no. I think if I remember reading a biopic on him, I was reading this biopic on him, and I think it came from his extremely repressed childhood, and this is how it was the combination of his parents' influence on him and society's influence at the time, and that's how it kind of came out because he was always very dark natured as a child. Yeah. And then this is where it kind of formed out of it. You know, he was a heavy reader. He loved sci-fi. He loved horror, and it just kind of came out in this way.
So if we're talking about Giger, his like the Necronomicon, that was his. They said those were his nightmares. Like that's how he dealt with his night terrors, was to make this art. Now, could you imagine every time you fell asleep, that's the shit you saw?
Yeah, that would be bad.
Fuck! I mean, I can't believe he made it to his late 70s.
I have to say,
dark
sorry.
Yeah.
I rather think that Lovecraft benefited from having a cadre of more talented writers around him.
For certain.
Oh, they added to the mythos.
Yeah, well, from what I've read of Lovecraft, I don't think he was actually that great a writer.
He wasn't. He was.
He was an idea man.
Yeah, he was an idea man. But I think that people like Robert Howard or Kurt Edward Wagner, sort of a couple of the people around him were really, really talented writers who sort of took his ideas and actually presented them in much more effective ways than I think he himself did.
Despite his rampant racism, xenophobia, and all the plethora of mental issues that he had. Yep. I was always extremely fond of the fact that he was very inviting to allow other authors to come in and play with his works. So he could have locked that shit down and nobody could have touched it, but he was like, no, come in, do these things, bring your own ideas. That's why we get stuff like the Yellow King and Elder, the Elder Signs. We wouldn't have Arkham Horror or any of that without his blessing. So I loved that about him, that he was willing to share at such an early time.
Yeah, I mean, it is always jarring going back and reading, say, Robert Howard's work and the attention that he pays to people's skull shape and
chronology.
And what you can tell. He just uses skull shape as a shorthand for personality. You can tell this is the bad guy because this is the shape of their skull, and you're just going. You've got a few problems there, Bob. But
you can see the influence in comics, and other deals. The bad guys had misshapen heads; they had big jaws like that. The early Dick Tracy took big advantage.
Very much so.
Yes. All right, so we got a couple of good ones in the chat. We're gonna get to the chat here. Let's see. Let me go back up here.
Okay. I just want to say,
go right ahead.
I just want to ask: were you guys as excited as I was watching the first series of True Detective? When they get to one of the witnesses, and she starts talking about Carcosa and the King in Yellow, and I'm just thinking, so are we in a Lovecraft story, or are these guys just Lovecraft fans?
It just kind of came in. It was like everything was up here, and then it just kind of dove. And I was like,
you're supposed to say spoiler alert.
Sorry.
No. I mean, it goes way deeper than that.
I haven't seen it.
That was big turn, and it's going to blow your mind. True Detective was amazing.
So I apologize.
No, I'm just teasing.
We're now into the third season. Okay.
I don't get a whole lot of time to sit and invest in television shows. Okay. So I do movies because it takes me 3 days to watch a film. If it's a standard 90 to 2 hour movie, most of the time I watch it in sections. I'll watch a little bit here and there and then piece it all together. I guess kids and work and
listing you as an example of time dilation, right?
Right. Well, okay. All right,
Bugger
Mr.
light.
Glacial isostatic adjustment guy. All right, there we go. Let's get into the
In the
chat.
Mouth of Madness. Oh,
yes.
there's a great film.
The third in the third in Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy.
Yep.
All right, so we've got Predator. We talked about Predator. That's a fantastic film. RoboCop. What about RoboCop?
I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it, and I love the depiction of the dystopian corporate-run world where.
I tell you what.
I mean,
here's one for the chat. Where was RoboCop filmed? Don't Google it. If you know, put it in the chat. Where was RoboCop filmed?
Isn't that sort of implicit in?
Was it? Is it? Where was RoboCop filmed? Let's see here. So anyway, you were saying about RoboCop. Go ahead. I'm sorry, JL.
I was just saying that I love that depiction, that very dystopian depiction of corporate run, basically how corporations have become more powerful than law enforcement. They pretty much run everything. It was at the time that RoboCop came out, it was kind of goofy in that respect, but obviously looking back, we look back now and it's like, holy shit. Now that we are aware of how influential corporations are, the only thing missing nowadays is, OCP is not written all over everything.
Right.
Disney does not brand every single thing they touch with Disney. Like I look out the window and I see the Disney blimp going by, and it's like we don't see that yet.
So Ilya Moon got it correct. Dallas, Texas. That it was filmed in Dallas, Texas.
Okay. But did you know there is a statue of RoboCop in Detroit?
There is.
I did not know that.
Yes.
It's probably been knocked over. Sorry. That's terrible. Terrible situational humor.
just like there's a statue of Rocky in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, but so the filmmakers, when they were planning, thought that downtown Dallas at the time looked more futuristic than Detroit, so that's why they filmed it down there.
Yeah. Okay.
Little Wolf says Event Horizon. That's a 90s film. And JL and I were working on a movie review Monday about Event Horizon.
So that keeps coming up.
It does. I will say one thing about Event Horizon is it's a good bad film.
Oh, I thought it was an excellent film. Just straight up. Okay. The reason being is, number one, I got to preface this. I am a tremendous Lovecraft fan, as many people could see. My very first novella that I wrote, it has not been published yet. Hopefully it will soon. The very first novella I wrote was completely Lovecraftian inspired. I even took from The Yellow King. That's a chapter in my novella. Okay. So. But anything that touches any director like Paul Anderson who went there, any director who is willing to touch on the Lovecraftian mythos without going so deep, because only Stuart Gordon really had the balls to go full Lovecraft. Yeah. But Anderson really did a good job at touching on the cosmic dread and things from beyond this reality that don't align with like religion. It's not hell or anything like that. Yeah. But that interdimensional terror. Anderson captured that beautifully, because in Lovecraft the terror is not always overt. It's not always in your face. In this case, it was just the ship itself. Blow up the ship, no more terror. And I love. Do what?
But is that what happened?
Well, I mean, in the end, they half the ship goes back to where it came from. The other half, explodes and is destroyed, or the other half escapes. They use it as an escape pod.
Does it escape?
Well, I mean, the end is left ambiguous, but that's also kind of a hallmark of Lovecraft as well. And also,
I'm not challenging your Lovecraftian point here,
but that's why it was so good.
I'm just challenging whether or not they got away or not.
I mean, excellent acting. Oh, well, I don't think they got away. Just because you cut the ship in half doesn't mean one half of it's dead.
Yeah.
The forward section was still alive. But I love how he was he was willing to bring that concept to audiences, and it slipped by a lot of people. It did. Most people just saw it for the Hellraiser in space, but
no, there was already a Hellraiser in space. It was Hellraiser 4 Bloodline.
True.
Anyway, so we'll get back to Jay and I will fully flesh out the Event Horizon film. Let's see what else we got in here. Let me go back. Red Dawn.
Red Dawn.
Red Dawn. What do you think about Red Dawn there, Tony?
I have to say that from a non-American perspective, it carries a lot of baggage.
That's the reason why I asked you, Tony.
The xenophobia is strong with this one.
Yeah, that's entirely true. So it was never. It was a film I have not dedicated a lot of effort to recalling.
Same. I didn't particularly care for. Did they remake it? Didn't they remake Red Dawn?
They remade it.
They did.
One of the Hemsworths, right?
Was it Chris Hemsworth? Hemsworth, I think it was.
I think it was Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah. It's unnecessary, soulless remake that was kind of just capitalizing on the fervor that was currently going on with North Korea at the time. It was obnoxious. Obviously, the first one was capitalizing on the Cold War. But I've seen it a few times, but I literally have to tread as fast as I can, otherwise I'll drown in the fucking nationalism of that movie.
Oh yeah, it was such an American boner.
All you have to do is just change the country, and they be as fervent as Hitler Youth.
Right.
I hate to say that, but that's that kind of nationalism that I don't like. That just
it's an overwhelming propagandism that that really sort of that really sort of prevents enjoyment. I can't get immersed in the story because I feel like I'm being propagandized to.
Yes.
And it's not. It doesn't have the self-awareness like Starship Troopers does. Because at least Starship Troopers was self-aware of what it was doing.
Starship Troopers was trying to be a little more meta too. They were trying to break that.
Yeah, it was more tongue-in-cheek.
Yes.
So Starship Troopers I really disliked because I didn't feel like it was a lampoon of Starship Troopers, nor did I feel like it was an effective lampoon of the military, which was what it was trying to be.
Yeah.
But Doogie Howser in a Gestapo coat, and the infomercials was pretty memorable. So those actually. More? Yeah, that's right. so those again, that was the sort of keeping that from the RoboCop.
Same director.
Same director. But those I actually really enjoyed. I thought they were very funny, and I thought that they were really effective. But all of the military stuff in it, I thought it was just stupid. So Denise Richards at the helm of a multi-million-dollar warship is throwing it around like it's some sort of car and scratching the paint. Okay, you've damaged. You're hot rodding with a fucking warship, and sorry for swearing. So why don't you report to the brig, and we'll see about having you court-martialed.
Right.
Which, given the size of that, probably cost like $1 trillion.
Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah. And you're damaging the port facilities that we're removing from. So you've just got the captain in trouble as well. So
and then I believe Denise Richards as the pilot of a spaceship.
I don't believe Denise Richards is a pilot of a fucking paper airplane.
As much as I believe Tara Reid as an archaeology PhD in Alone in the Dark.
Yeah.
I was like,
all right.
Sorry,
but she was a nuclear.
My suspension of disbelief can only go so far.
But she was a nuclear scientist, don't you remember?
James Bond?
Yes, in James Bond, the world is not enough.
Yes, not enough, that's it.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I went to see that with somebody who had training in nuclear science. He was doing his PhD in geophysics, but his undergraduate training was in nuclear science. And there's nuclear physics. And there's a line in there where they get into some complex piece of machinery, and Bond goes, "Do you know how to drive this?" And she says, "Well, it's not nuclear science." And the guys next to me go, "I need to get into a plane and try that line."
What was it? That character, they never stated, but she only got that degree. She was only in that field because it's the only way scientists like that are going to be around someone that hot. So they just give her the shit. They do all the work for her just so she can be around in the office.
Right, okay, yeah.
Yep.
Good theory.
So how about the Warriors?
Oh,
Warriors classic.
yeah, that's a that is a classic '80s film. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and and very interesting. Sort of. Uh, I'm struggling to recall anything that was quite as dystopian that early in sort of my film awareness. But
I
it
would
was.
say Escape from New York.
Yeah, we were gonna get there
Yeah,
too. That
yeah,
was coming
yeah,
up.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's on the list. Okay, help me out.
I don't
I've
put
been
that in that
racking my
chronology.
brain for the past, I don't know how long, years.
Mhm.
There was a movie that I saw when I was a kid, way back in the 80s, and it was a dystopian type thing where it was a bunch of like teenagers and kids who played this game. And one of them was deaf, and he found some like artifact that allowed him to hear. What the fuck was this movie?
It's not ringing any bells for me.
It
But
is an it's an obscure film. I mean, I will say that it's very obscure.
say the plot again.
I mean, I don't really remember the plot. All I know is that it followed a bunch of kids. They all like played this like it was like a weird sport game that they used to capture territory. They were it's like skating. I want to say they were skating and throwing a ball. But one of the
Are you
things that I
sure
remember,
it was kids?
I'm pretty sure it was kids because
There,
one of
there's
the
a weird ass thing called Salute of the Jugger, or it was called Salute of the Jugger in Australia. That's a Rutger Hauer, Joan Chen film where their um, uh, juggers play this game where you have to stick a dog skull on a spike, and it's really it's a weird obscure film, but they're not really kids.
well,
Rutger
okay,
Hauer's the veteran, and there are a lot of younger players, but yeah, not really kids.
yes. Well, they may not have all been kids, but there was one kid.
Hmm.
I say kids; they were young adults,
Okay.
Yep.
teenagers or in their 20s. But there was one that was a kid who was deaf, and again, he finds this artifact, this glowing artifact shit that helps him hear. Golly, I wish I could figure that. Mr. Jarvis is in the chat.
Hey,
Greetings
what's
to
up, you
you.
Jars?
Good greetings to you, Hugh.
But yeah, I've been racking my brain on that one, trying to figure that one out. There was also another one that happened in the 80s where it was giant robots fighting.
That was Robot Jocks.
Robot Jocks, yes!
Oh,
Yes!
I love that movie.
I love that movie for the simple fact that it was robots beating each other up.
I think that was the screenplay was originally a Joe Haldeman script. He was very unhappy with the way it ended up.
I think you may be right on that.
Yeah.
Another good one that that just suddenly popped in my head, and kind of a lesser known Kurt Russell one, because we mentioned Escape from New York.
Yeah.
Yep.
Soldier.
Oh yes, that
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good one.
I think it's wholly underappreciated because you got Kurt Russell being an absolute badass,
Mhm.
taking on genetically modified soldiers, and he's the legit original, taking on genetically modified soldiers, and Gary Busey in a not freak out, be crazy role, just being a really just cool and straight, just straight. I was like, holy shit! So and just a really really fun, and I think an early Jason Isaacs role.
Yeah.
So
There's a
yeah,
s-
but
I've heard it suggested that that's set in the same universe as Blade Runner.
I heard it was in the same universe as something else. I
Right.
think you're right. It might be Blade Runner. I'm not sure who wrote.
So Philip K. Dick wrote "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep," which
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
the
Blade
story that Blade Runner was
Yeah.
based on. But I'm not. My recollection is that I've heard so when they talk about sort of the fighting that they get the replicants to do, that this is actually following replicant soldiers. That's the suggestion that I heard. It may not be accurate. Who can tell? But yeah, as you say, a good film.
Oh, I do want to take this time to wish a very special person happy birthday. Ma, it's your birthday. You're a year older. Happy birthday, Ma.
Happy birthday.
Another lap. Well
Another
done.
lap around the earth or something like
Another.
that. Oh, man, this has been killing me. This whole movie has been killing me. I'm trying to figure out what the hell it is. I've been racking my brain for like 20 years to remember this film.
Okay. So I have seen a lot of really weird films, but that doesn't sound familiar to me. So.
Yes, Tony, to interject here real quick. You are correct. Because Soldier was written by David Peoples, and he co-wrote
Yep.
the script. He co-wrote Blade Runner.
Okay.
And it's considered a kind of spiritual successor to Blade Runner. And
Yeah,
the
okay.
events of Blade Runner are kind of very, very lightly referenced in Soldier.
Yeah,
So
okay.
you are correct on that.
Okay. Thank you. There you go. My memory isn't completely failing me.
All right, so what about Dune?
Oh, the fucking David Lynch one.
Yep.
Um,
I'm hearing that Salute of the Jugger was called The Blood of Heroes in the US. So, if that's what the chat is telling me, anyway. But June, yeah, I have to say my enduring memory of June was, and this is, I'm going to go into a bit of an anecdote. I was traveling to Western Australia for a scout thing, and then I was traveling back, and we had a choice. We were supposed to either go to Adelaide, which is a city on the south coast, or up into the Flinders Ranges. And my friend and I had chosen to go into the Flinders Ranges, but there was a window broken on the bus, so they asked for volunteers to go into Adelaide. I volunteered, my friend volunteered. We went into Adelaide. It got up to 48 degrees in the Flinders Ranges, and there were bushfires everywhere. And we were in Adelaide, and it was like 43 degrees.
That's 118 degrees for the Americans in the audience.
And it was incredibly hot. We went down to the beach, and Adelaide has the worst beach in the world. So we decided instead we'd go see a film, and the film we went to see was Dune. So we wandered in from this baking hot street into a cool air-conditioned cinema to watch this movie about this baking hot planet. Okay.
I'm a big David Lynch fan. I love his work. Blue Velvet, awesome. Love Twin Peaks. I think that him trying to take on Herbert's Dune ultimately was hurt by the problems that you have in adapting literature to film. There's so much you have to leave out, and you have to decide what. And unfortunately, at the time, obviously David Lynch, he was popular, but he did not have Peter Jackson or New Line Cinema money, so you can't just do like this huge, giant extended cut to have everything. So there were relationships that were very important to the story between between the Fremen and the Harkonnens, and the political intrigue on the planet with the Baron
Harkonnen.
With the Baron and like that, and all the little shit going on that were only subtly hinted at. But we needed those things to understand Atreides' rise.
Yep.
And it just wasn't there. So it just took a turn. Let's get all the spectacle in there. Let's do the spectacle of the Baron in his suit and his stuff, and the spectacle of the Dune worms and all this kind of stuff. It's kind of like okay, and it was good. There were moments in there, but it just ultimately it's adapting books for film. Sometimes it's very fucking hard. You got to dump a lot of stuff out.
Well, Dune is a particularly dense text to be
trying to. I don't see how they thought they could do that in one film. That would have to have been just a plethora of films.
That could be a trilogy.
There could be the first third of Dune could be a trilogy.
Yeah, it is literally that. There is literally so much material there that you could turn it into 9 films quite easily.
Yes.
I will say here that I do remember the guy who played Baron Harkonnen. He had some really good insane rants
Oh yes.
that I still recall. So props to him. Because apart from that, my memories of the film are actually a bit dismal. But as you say, I think they glossed over a lot and relied too much on spectacle.
Yeah.
Although he did provide my favorite, and for the life of me, I have it written down somewhere. For the life of me, the name of that actor is escaping me. I loved him to death. He was fantastic in one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations. He was in Cat's Eye. He was in The Ledge.
Right. Okay.
Yes, that same actor. That actor gave me one of my favorite memes. That's a picture of Baron Harkonnen when he's up in the air and he's like, and he's flying around. I have a still of that, and someone cut out his head and put Trump's head on there. And so I use that relentlessly online on Facebook.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. And of course, Patrick Stewart's in that film. Very briefly in the background. But playing Gurney Halleck. That's right.
Oh, I think I found it. Oh man, let me see. I think I found it. Hang on a second. You guys keep talking. I'm gonna keep researching this.
But yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just spewing random trivia about Patrick Stewart, but yeah.
Oh, he recently had a birthday, or his birthday is coming up. No, it was last week. Okay. We just wished him a happy birthday. That's right. On the episode, his birthday is this week. I keep trying to look at my phone, and I keep looking at my goddamn phone, and my phone is dead. But we wish Patrick Stewart a happy birthday and talked about his career because he's done thrillers in the past as far as film goes. Like he was in Conspiracy Theory, which is funny. It was what we do with Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson, Julia Roberts. But
the Green Room.
Green Room. Holy shit! And I was like, God damn, because it was such a. The initial presentation of him was obviously this is a bad guy, or you don't necessarily knew that he was a bad guy, but just that this was his bar, or this was his like little clubhouse, and he knew the kind of people that were there, and he's just trying to he's just trying to gain control of everything. But you realize that he is the fucking head of these white supremacist motherfuckers.
Yep.
And this dude is straight evil.
Yeah, that's right.
And he delivered it with that sublime Patrick Stewart just perfection. I was like, that totally threw me off. Oh god damn.
Okay.
He is so understated that when you do find out how evil he is, you're just going, oh, this guy is dangerous. Anyway.
I found it. It is confirmed. It's Solar Babies.
Solar Babies.
Solar Babies.
Okay, I do remember the name of the film. It's been forever since I've seen it.
Yeah. Well, I've never heard of it, so there you go.
Yeah, it's been. I don't know what. But I just now found it, so I'm elated that I've actually found it.
Yeah.
It is. You may have known it as Solar Warriors or Solar Fighters.
No, it's too obscure for me.
It is very obscure. Yeah, very obscure.
I have to say that I want to stress that I come here as somebody whose knowledge of cinema is nowhere near as profound as either of you gentlemen.
Oh, what are you talking about? You've held your own. What are you talking about?
You're good.
Yeah, my goodness. So, yeah. Don't even discount your brilliance in the subject. Just because it's not glacial isostatic adjustment. I got the first two right.
You are getting very good at that. Yes. Okay. I'm sorry. Glacial isostatic
adjustment.
Glacial isostatic adjustment.
Yep. That's
okay.
Right.
So Ilya Moon wants to know when you, JL, and I are going to go on the Creepy Conspiracy Show.
I
Oh,
need to know when and
I'm
where, and
yeah,
look at my schedule.
absolutely. You just Ilya only has to provide me with a time and a date, and I will move my schedule around to be there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, for certain. Gentlemen, gentle. Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about either. I don't know what he means either. There, Hughes. I don't. I don't drink my tea with my pinky out.
I don't drink tea, so
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. What else we got in the chat about film, 80s films? Man, we got on a fun rant there, but that was fine.
Well, Jessica G brought up Labyrinth, which was a
Dance
very
magic, dance magic.
Art.
which is
Yes.
which is obviously not an action film,
No.
but one of my enduring positive memories of the 80s is Labyrinth. I think that's a fantastic film.
I never got into Labyrinth or Dark Crystal.
Yeah, Dark Crystal was not so much my cup of tea, but I did really enjoy Labyrinth.
Yeah, you just liked it because David Bowie. Be honest.
David Bowie does hold his own against a bunch of Muppets.
Let me ask you this: what about the thoughts of Labyrinth being remade? Because that's in the air right now.
It's not. It is that has been greenlit. From what I understand, that idea has been greenlit, and the only thing that stopped it was COVID. That's how you know that there is a God. Okay, God said, "What?" Said they're redoing the Labyrinth. I don't fucking think so.
And they've said it's a remake, not a continuation.
It's not going to be a continuation or a reboot. It's a full-fledged remake. Yeah.
Okay.
My heart hurts.
Yeah.
I have to say that I have to say that I have to stop saying I have to say at the beginning of sentences. But I really feel that that sometimes remakes occur and they can be okay.
Yes.
But so often it is just a scummy cash grab. And it really, I don't see the point of it. The original film still exists. We can go watch that. And
I'll tell you this will get you, Tony, because this is one of the highlights of my 2019. And I got the opportunity to see Labyrinth in theaters. On the big screen, way it was originally intended. Because obviously the movie came out, I think, in 1986. Yep. I was only 6 at the time. My mother, I guess, it never took me to see it. She took me to see Ghostbusters. That's why I saw Gremlins when it came out in theater. I saw Gremlins at the drive-in. I saw Gremlins at the drive-in. I saw Ghostbusters in theaters. But I never got to see Labyrinth in theater. And I don't know why I was never taken. But I finally did. We went to Alamo Drafthouse and got to see not only Labyrinth on the big screen, but also 2 episodes of Storyteller, of Jim Henson's Storyteller.
Yes.
Yes. I can tell you, getting the chance to do that, if you get the opportunity, if any of your cinemas out there, especially the kind of dine-in cinemas, ever do that, do not miss out.
Right. It's an awesome film, and Storyteller is sort of an underappreciated Jim Henson gem.
So now that we're getting off into the fantasy era, what do we think of? What do we think of The Never-Ending Story?
Actually, the movie left a lot of stuff out of the book.
That's true. Did you ever see the song? Who was it?
From a Tangerine Dream?
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you see that when they were doing that weird hand fucking thing?
I'd have to go back and watch it again.
You need to watch that shit.
I really more like them for their contributions to Legend.
Well, sure. Let's see here. Okay. Irish Demon is looking to get in, so let me get him in here.
Absolutely. He improves any conversation.
But
I did enjoy, come on, it gave us one of the most heartbreaking, pretty much, our tax is the reason I lost my... I have to go back.
Irish, you got to turn your shit down.
Yeah, I just did. Bonjour, everybody. How we doing?
Bonjour.
Yeah.
Gia Gooch.
So it's good to be here with J.L. Warren and Daniel Pratt. Could you see that?
Oh shit!
That's cold.
Back into it.
Shitty.
Back into it.
Oh, straight in.
Coming out firing.
Shitty.
Straight
Hang
for
on,
the
let me get you in there.
nuts.
I was out there making a drink for myself, and I was looking at the stream. I was thinking, "Yep, I'm coming in hot. Coming in hot." I just have to go out and make my goat's blood drink. Keep me keep.
Nice.
The demon goes low.
I mean to tell you, my goodness, Irish Demon.
Wow.
That's
Hot
just
and fast,
wrong.
man.
That's just wrong.
Anyway, sorry. I know. I
No,
was thinking,
Demon. That is. So I grew up, Catholic household. I have 3 brothers, and we just, whenever, sadly, I'm only in contact with one of them regularly, but he calls like every day and just goes, just lays into me from the first, I am fat man to him. And fat is the greeting I get every day. So I am used to this sort of ribbing.
I love that. We here at this panel, Johnny and Team and Fight and Irish and myself and so many people that have all this respect for PhD Tony, a wildly intelligent individual, very very well educated. I'm trying to imagine I have kind of a dissonance of imagining your brother calling you up, and being like, "What's up, idiot? What are you doing?" He's like, "Dude, man, I have like a fucking PhD. So shut the fuck up. I'll still beat you. I don't care. I'm still trying to imagine that."
That's pretty much how it goes. Yes, exactly. So it's weird, sort of, because the rest of my family aren't necessarily as academically high flyers as I am. But when I was an undergraduate, I was taught by a professor of astrophysics who was one of 3 brothers. They all ended up as professors of astrophysics. Every single one of them, and you're just going like, who are your parents? Like, what were they doing? Like, where the hell did you guys all come from? Like, that can't be real. But anyway. But yeah, my brothers lay into me mercilessly, so I feel at home when people do it on a stream.
Okay, wait a second. I have to address something that just happened in the chat. So Illy Moon says that we need a woman to balance the panel, and I agree. We do need. I've always had a woman to keep me balanced. Yeah. However, her next comment was, where to go? We women are smart and add value.
Well, perhaps you meant valor.
Maybe valor. Yeah. Yes, I know there's an echo. Chat, give me a second. I'm taking care of it right now. Right, meow.
How's your asshole, Irish?
It is still sore, man. Like I'm going to be doing a short video later. Just I filmed a little bit before I went live the other night to basically burn my face off live on the air. And so I made a little pre-video. So I'm going to cut up a little bit of the good stuff and throw in Flat Derp's awesome video.
That was great.
And it was great. It was fucking great. So I'm going to stick that in there. And one that I think it was Hugh Jar sent me as well. So I'm going to stick them in there and smash them all together and put them out later. So yeah, that'll be a bit of fun. But yeah, that stuff sucked.
Okay.
Thank you, Johnny O. By the way, I'm getting the Vegemite today.
Oh my
Lord.
God. Okay, I gotta tell you. So you challenged Johnny with the Vegemite, and you also challenged Team.
Correct, and you.
And you challenged me. Now,
yes,
Johnny. I don't know if you've ever had Vegemite in your life. Okay, and I'm pretty sure I don't know if Team has. I have tasted it many, many years ago. I tasted it once, and that shit tastes like scabs.
That is exactly right.
So I will take your challenge. I will. I'm not gonna like it, but I'm not looking forward to it because I know what hell I'm about to descend into.
Yes, It is bad. It is pretty bad. I'm gonna go get it today, and see how it goes.
Flat Derp. Flat Derp is in the chat, dude. Flat Derp. I had no idea that I was going to be making a small appearance in the latest video.
It was brilliant.
I was watching that with my wife. My wife and I were watching that at the same time, and she was like, "Holy fuck, is that you?" And I was like, "Holy shit, it is!" So Thank you, dude.
Need
That was
help with your
amazing. I did
horse?
not expect that.
I actually, I'm going to be doing a video soon on my other channel, my history channel. So first of all, Commander Darklight made this amazing 17th century style shirt for me to wear for some of my videos, because some of my videos are going to be about the Irish demographic around the world. I think we are the most spread people around the world. So I'm going to be doing yeah, I believe so.
You're the most
so I'm going to
spread,
do
that's for
some
sure.
about going to America. I'm going to be doing some about fuck off. I'm going to be doing. I tell you what, I was spread out the other night after that joke. I was a shitty sweating mess after that, man. burning all over my body.
Yep.
So
You took it like a champ, though, man. I applaud you. You took it like a champ.
I said it before, man. I do stupid shit and I own it. Like, that's just.
Yep.
I felt like I got tear gassed right in the ass, man. It was so bad. It was so bad. Hey, that's got to go in my next video. But yeah, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so I'm gonna do a history video. I decided I'm gonna do one about the history of dogs because I love dogs. So I'm gonna try get a few friends from around the world to say the word dog in their respective languages.
You like dags?
So I like dags. I like dags. I actually have a friend that does say dag, but I gotta get a text and say dog.
Let me get you my dogs.
Get my dog.
Yep.
So you're saying pikey is a thing?
Say again?
Pikey is a thing.
Oh yeah. Oh, they are. Yeah, I went to school with a lot of pikeys, man.
Apparently they don't like being called that.
In Ireland they don't. The ones in England. Oh, sorry. Yeah, in England they don't. The ones in Ireland kind of wear it as a badge of honor. The names changed a lot over the years. People used to call them knackers, which is like if you call someone a knacker in Ireland, it's like calling somebody a dirty hillbilly or something. But a knacker is a person who takes away dead horses and cows and stuff like that to turn them into glue. So people used to call it knackers.
Yard.
Yeah, like the knackers yard, exactly. And then people started calling them tinkers. Tinkers are people who fix pots and pans and stuff because they used to do that. They used to travel around and work in the laundries and tinker pots and pans and things. But now I think the I guess PC way to say it would be traveler. They call them the traveling community.
So we have a huge influx of the Irish gypsies in Texas, believe it or not.
When was that?
We still have them. As a matter of fact, whenever I worked for a certain toy store that is no longer around, I won't name them names.
Toys are them?
Sure. Toys we aren't. This was a store.
Toys No More.
Toys No More, right? This was a store that was West Fort Worth in White Settlement. And
oh shit! I know right where you're talking.
Yeah, so there was a huge. They're still there. They have a what is it called? What are those mobile homes? Caravan community.
Caravans.
Yeah, they have a caravan community that has built up in there. They were run out of a couple of places, like River Oaks ran them out, West Point ran them out, but White Settlement said whatever, you can stay here. I don't care. But yeah, it was bad.
Man. It's bad in Ireland. Like I worked in the Apple European headquarters. It's one of the biggest, company headquarters in the world. And there was we call it a halting site. That's the name for a traveler's yard or whatever.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. No worries, Daniel. See you, man. So they
That's terrible.
I know. Right. I know. Awful. PhD Daniel. So they they wrecked the place, man. And the problem is I actually used to work for a few of them over the years when I did photography. And 90% of them are just awesome, great people, but there are a few that are just known as gangsters, and unfortunately, there's a lot of the Irish gangs are travelers and stuff, so there's a lot of problems there. But yeah, by all accounts, it's getting worse now because of the political landscape in Ireland is pretty bad at the moment, and nobody has jobs and stuff, so it's kind of the trouble has started again, which is awful. It really is.
All right, so John Rapp says, at the plot hole, I had an idea in another stream. No one played. Everyone's porn name, first pet's name, and the name of first street lived in. Mine is the worst. Lady Tawantha. Tunnel Mafia.
Sammy Blix.
I'm trying to remember the first.
The first street, is it?
Yeah, the name of
Well,
your
my-
first.
my-
my name's not very exciting.
Mine's like
My
Boy
I'd
First
be-
Street or some shit.
I'd be Model Farm Road.
Actually,
Not as exciting, is it?
actually, a lot of
Give me
those-
that. I'm putting that fucker on film.
a lot of those, or I've heard it suggested that a lot of those quizzes or questions, like construct your name or something like that, you're inadvertently providing the answer to security questions.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
That's true.
Mm.
But here's the thing. I'm going to tell you something. Having worked just like briefly in security, that digital security type shit. There's no such thing as security on the internet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
None whatsoever.
Yeah,
I'm here to tell you right now that every single credit card number that you've ever had, that your mother's ever had, that your father's ever had, that you ever will have, all those numbers are sitting in a giant pool, and cyber hackers just fucking, like, they're just prospecting. They'll grab a whole shit ton of them, run some cards, and see which ones stick. I mean, it's going. You will have fraudulent charges on your card at some point in time. It's going to happen. Period. You can't escape it. Only thing you do is keep an eye on it and make sure that you can mitigate it as quickly as possible.
Yep. Okay.
But yeah, don't play those games because they're just silly. Although,
All right, let's. Sorry, go on.
no, what were you saying?
This is a perfect one for you guys. I came across earlier. Your villain name, your movie villain name.
Uh-huh.
So the first letter of your first name and the first letter of your last name.
Uh-oh.
So
Or
you
what?
would be,
Or what?
You would be the
Oh.
brutal corpse.
I'm the brutal corpse?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. That's right.
So Daniel Pratt would be the dangerous Slayer.
I think Tony's villain name is Daniel Pratt.
Yeah.
My secret ID, goddammit. You guys are blowing it.
Actually, you'd be the dangerous. Oh my God! No way. You and Daniel Pratt actually genuinely do have the same villain name, because your first and last names. He's D, the dangerous, and Slayer, and you're T, the dangerous and Slayer. Oh well, technically you're A, so you're the evil Slayer.
I'm the evil slayer. Okay, there you go. So that's only my legal name. Everybody calls me Anthony. Nobody ever calls me Anthony. So,
Just the evil Slayer.
yes.
Jesus.
What's
Yeah.
JW?
This is getting creepy though.
Is it?
I need to go get some soda. So anyway, this entire Daniel Pratt thing is getting creepy. That's
Just
all.
careful. Don't knock the camera so we can see the water heater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it
No, I
behind
had
the
to get
bookshelf?
rid of it. No, I got rid of it. It was becoming insolent. And I don't stand for back chat. So
Oh, that's good shit.
I can just
The
picture
insolent-
Tony there backhanding a fucking water heater. Shut up, bitch.
That's gonna be someone's name. Daniel Pratt's insolent water heater.
By the way, Flat Derp, again, you're welcome.
I saw a really good YouTube name yesterday. Today maybe it was. It was just called Dunning, Kruger and Associates.
That's actually, yeah.
Oh man. Oh, what was
All right.
I was
we were on film, so let's stick on the old film. Let's go back to film, 80s film. This is probably before your time there, Irish team.
It sure is. It sure is.
But you have YouTube and stuff, so
I do.
You could have seen some of these films.
I do have a YouTube.
That's true. You do. Have YouTube. So what
Just
is your
one.
favorite 80s action film?
Favorite 80s action film? Let me see. What's in the 80s? Can it be like comedy action or?
Sure.
Oh, it's got to be Beverly Hills Cop. Is that 80s?
that is 80s.
That's
Yeah,
that's
That's an
88, right?
That's an 80s film. Yeah. Something like that.
The first one was 80s. And Beverly Hills Cop
Oh
2 was
yeah.
84. Wow, golly.
84, 87, 94.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I was thinking of Beverly Hills Cop
Beverly
2.
Hills
Hills
Cop.
That was, yeah.
I
That is a good
love-
one.
I do enjoy 80s movies when I see them. Like I can't really think of them off. Oh, you know what's another one? I think it was 80s. Red Dawn.
Yep, we talked about that one.
We talked about
Dude.
that one.
What a movie. I'm actually I know you guys might know or maybe don't know, but I do a bit of writing as well. So I'm working on 2 books. One's just a short story. The other one, I'm starting a mini novel, a shorter novel, I guess. And it's kind of similar-ish to Red Dawn, but a little bit different. But I'm gonna hopefully start that soon. Got the basics down, but
There's already an Australian one called the Day the War Began or something.
Yeah, something like
I
that.
saw that. Yeah, I didn't watch it or
right.
see the book, but I have heard it. Yeah.
Tony, you have been
I just-
challenged to
Oh,
put.
yes?
You've been challenged to put on a hoodie.
To put on a hoodie.
And get
Okay.
emphysema.
All right. I've got a hoodie. I'll be back in a moment. So we'll see. We'll see about this.
I'll also be right back. I've got to grab something to drink.
Do you think?
Just remember, he's got to go right up to the microphone and go like.
Yeah, that's fucking stupid laugh. Oh
man,
my
it's the
god.
worst.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Let's see here. Illy Moon sits just the street, so Pepper Love would be Illy Moon's porn name.
Ooh, that's
That
kind of
actually
like what happened
works,
to me
yeah.
the other day.
Yeah. Oh, Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, that was an
Never
interesting.
seen it.
That was an interesting one. You haven't seen Running Man?
Oh, ma'am.
I will fuck you.
I'm gonna look up best 80s. What is it? Action movies,
Yeah.
and see if how many I actually know. But I do enjoy 80s stuff. Top Gun! Holy crap! How did I miss that?
See, that's the thing. That's how this thing started. Top Gun is shit. That's
Top Gun.
my unpopular opinion is Top Gun is shit.
Okay.
Top Gun rocks.
I need to lean into the camera like this.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Just do the laugh.
Hello, McFly.
Oh Jesus
Do the
Christ.
laugh. Gotta do the laugh.
Can you do the laugh?
I don't know Daniel Pratt's laugh.
Kind of like.
So...
It's like an emphysema filled. Oh my god. Oh my
So-
god.
I might have missed this one. I don't know. You guys probably mentioned it. Full Metal Jacket.
We talked briefly about it.
What?
Yeah.
Love
would that qualify as an action film?
That's
Um,
what I. That's why. That's kind of what
I've got in
I
the war
asked. Was
category.
it more of a war drama than a war action? I mean, there's a little action in it, yeah, but I think it's more drama than anything.
I
more about the personal.
actually JL didn't get to see it, so I'm going to.
You're gonna hang
this
out
is-
for a minute.
Oh, what's up, Kaczynski?
Blues Brothers.
so Flat Derp, Tony Flat Derp wants to know if you've seen his Pratt videos.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Him in bed where everybody thinks they're dead. Or everybody thinks he's dying. He's,
Commander Darklight in the house. What's up, Commander Darklight?
Hey.
Flat Derp, I've seen everything you produced. I binge watched it in short order, so rest assured.
Yeah, they're amazing.
It's fun. Favorite new YouTuber.
So I just want to say, like, Team Skeptic is putting together the debunkies, and he's categorized people according to the number of followers they have, and for some reason I got put up, even though I don't produce content. So I've produced one video and I'm going to be producing some more, but I think it's a bit unfair for me to be up there because I just don't do enough. But I am in the same category as Flat Derp, and I wouldn't vote for me. I'd be voting for Flat Derp.
Flat Derp's awesome.
I just don't see why anyone wouldn't be voting.
Tony, which category are you in?
I think at the moment I'm in best creator for under 1,000 with under 1,000 subs.
Okay, same category as me.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Which I don't.
Would you be voting for Flat Derp? Because
Yes,
I would be voting for Flat Derp over myself because Flat Derp is fucking amazing.
he's awesome. And guys, you can find Tony's videos over at www.pornhub.com/bigtony.
content.
Yeah.
That's when it gets real. That's when it gets
But
real.
I
was good
I don't
chili
have.
sauce.
I don't, but I don't have the rights to that. You see, so
That's the problem.
That's the problem, right?
Yeah, so I think somebody said plot hole for that. I don't want to go against Flat Derp. Flat Derp, I hope one of two things happens. Either you get a sudden influx of a bazillion subscribers so they can take you out of my category, or I get an influx of a billion subscribers so I can be taken out of your category. One of those two things I wish happened, so I don't have to go up against you and get destroyed.
Yeah,
it's an honor just to be nominated.
Yeah, that's what losers say. Okay, that's what losers say.
I'm a loser.
If you're not first, you're last.
That's right.
I freely admit, I'm sitting here in a hoodie. Obviously, I'm a loser.
Oh man, no, it'll be fun. I like I said, being a part of it, being mentioned, that's pretty cool. It is cool. So
yeah,
but Flat Derp is the obvious hands down favorite. So
I think
the day I met Team, when I met him out at the Flat Earth International Conference, and I talked to him online, but was a fan of his videos. But the day I met him, I was just there for just for fun, for shits and giggles. I wasn't making content. I wasn't even on. I didn't really even do YouTube. And all of a sudden, to less than a year's time, here I am with doing this. It's just pretty. It's pretty. That alone is pretty stellar.
It's so much fun.
Oh, Mr. Andrad, we're yes, we know this. We know that Derp's got us beat. There's no need to be sorry.
Absolutely.
We know this. We humbly accept our place behind Flat Derp. So yeah.
I don't know who I'm even up against.
I think you're like against Craft Tequila and
I'm not sure who I'm up against, but I hope
Professor
that
Phil
all
Bell?
of their channels get hacked. Oh, Phil Bell. Oh, well, that's me done, man. I'm not going to win it. Phil Bell's there. Phil Bell's amazing, man. And he's the nicest guy on earth. He's the nicest human being I've ever seen. He's just such a lovely guy. I even said it on his channel one day. I was like, I want to be Phil Bell when I grow up.
He's a lovely guy. He is really good. Like there was such a contrast between me debating Mind of God and him debating Mind of God. He was such a gentleman, and he was just smiling and seeing the funny side. And
I like that.
I kind of lost patience with Mind of God. Was there any progress on getting either Ilya Moon or Jessica G in here to sort of have a gender balance?
Yeah, well, we do need to have a gender balance. Let me see.
It was mentioned and we did acknowledge it, but then we started mocking people for misspelling. So.
We did. It was very
exact opposite way.
Speaking of misspelling, did anybody happen to catch JM's little performance over on Team's channel?
Oh my God, I got little bits of it.
Wow.
Okay. I didn't. So my brother called to ridicule me halfway through, so I missed a lot of that. So I didn't really catch up until CJ started speaking and JM
Fuck
pulled
that
out.
piece of shit.
And it was because I saw it when you talked to him over on Fight's channel, and you did exactly what I wanted to do. Because I don't know how much of his videos you yourself have watched, because I've been through his library, and there's some really disgusting fucking shit in there, and I was like, how the hell is anybody platforming this asshole? But if you go back and watch the debate that I had with him, I tried to be really cool about it. There was one moment where he was going off the deep end, and I reeled. I gave him. It was like, I don't want to do that. Don't, because this whole thing will turn against you if you do. And then he pulled it back, so whatever. But now every time I see him, I have to bring this stuff up, and because he'll just go off just like he did with the misogynistic bullshit.
That's right.
Yeah, I have to thank you.
He goes too crazy.
You said exactly what I wanted to say.
Well, I've seen him on. I've only seen him on his debates on Fight the Flat Earth or Team Skeptic, and a couple of times there he has gone off, and I've just gone, for starters, I think it's just bad for him to be on these debates because he is doing it for the attention he gets. He considers this a positive feedback. So he's just digging himself further into his delusion. But also he's just obnoxious. He has zero morality. In his universe, he's basically the only real person, and everybody else can get fucked.
The interesting thing about that, Tony, as well. I think we kind of touched on this the other night when you and I were chatting. The thing about it is, a lot of these guys, and JL, I'm sure you'll be 100% on board with this comment, but a lot of these Christian and just generally religious people are like, oh, those atheists, they have no morality, they have no there's nothing stopping them going out and killing people. It's like, remind me again, who's the ones that say, for example, Steve Pennington says women should be held down and have their heads shaved if they don't cover their heads in church. You got that guy from Boston saying that women shouldn't talk. You've got the stuff that CJ says.
The fucking asshole I'll be covering on my next video, Aiden Rusfeld. Yeah, when they go out and they do the Westboro style protest and shit, he has a big ass sign: "Women belong in the kitchen," because women because they firmly believe and they preach that women should be 100% utterly subservient to men. That men do these things, women do these things. So
that reminds me, Jane, is my sandwich ready yet? I'm actually. The funny thing is, I'm gonna get my ass kicked for that one.
As you should.
As you really should.
Just come here a sec. We're talking about how misogynistic some of these guys are on like Christian apologists and stuff, and I shouted out, I was like, "Is my sandwich ready yet?" Who makes this? Hold on, let me turn the mic to Mrs. Demon. Come over here. Come on. Come around. Oh, come on. You look low.
Look, nobody's watching. This is a private stream.
Yeah, nobody's watching.
It's a private call that is not on YouTube at all.
She says she's not in her true form yet.
Oh, shit.
Mrs. Demon will tell you now, for all the ladies out there, right? Who makes the sandwiches in this house?
Usually you. I make a better sandwich, though.
She makes a better sandwich, but I do.
I'm quite lazy.
So
who
does all the cooking?
You do the cooking.
Who does all the dishwashing?
You. I have never washed a dish. I remember.
Who does who washes all the clothes? Again, not necessarily properly, but who does it mostly?
Do it more. I look better.
Exactly.
I'm an important businesswoman.
She's an important business.
No, this is a good thing. My mother raised me the exact same way in that my wife and I do share household chores. We do split things relatively evenly. But at the very beginning of our relationship, it was me. I did the cooking and the dishes and the cleaning. I got so much shit from a lot of people I knew about being kind of like the domesticated guy in that. But that's just the way my mom raised me, because if I was going to have a household, I got to know how to fucking do this shit. So there you go.
So here's the thing. I used
to have a very lovely hand, Mrs. Demon.
Did I miss the hand? Oh, I missed the hand.
You did miss the hand.
Darn it.
We're going to get her on soon, for sure.
I hope so.
Yeah. Mrs. Demon, you can come on the Plot Hole Show. We're not live right now.
We're going to have her on. She wants to pre-record a podcast with me because she doesn't want to go live. Talking about her childhood experiences of the Matrix. I know I'm not going to make you sound crazy. I'll leave her tell the story the next time. It's really fascinating, and I never knew about it. And she explained to me how as a child she had a kind of a Matrix type experience, and she doesn't believe in conspiracies or any of that or supernatural things. So it was really interesting, actually. But we're going to cover that someday. It's going to be fun.
Sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
But
that will be wonderful. It will be great to see her.
Oh, she's great. She's great. She's just very shy.
So. Am I the only one noticing a tendency for the conversation to drift as soon as it veers anywhere near Ilya or somebody else being on the show?
So I sent Ilya an invite, but she says she's in bed.
What about Jessica?
I'll be there in a minute. I've actually got to go pretty soon anyway. We're going to look at a house today, so I won't be able to stay on too much longer. But
I hope that goes well.
Fingers crossed. I'm just hoping nobody else buys it because it's got everything I want. Huge backyard for the doggos, which to be fair for a Chihuahua, like a small backyard is a huge backyard, but it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. But you guys, I'm trying to get Mrs. Demon to come on a stream some night. You guys reckon she'd be good, right?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Why not? Why wouldn't you?
Somebody said she needs her own channel. She has been tinkering with the idea, so because she's smarter than I am, and I'm pretty smart. Like Tony, I'm smarter than you. But...
yeah, absolutely.
Well, only when you look like Daniel Pratt.
I don't know. I was gonna say.
I go back to my own stupidness.
I always thought of you more as like a donk from the Crocodile Dundee movies.
Yes.
The donk. Yeah, okay.
Hold on, is donk? Which one's donk again?
Donk's the big
big
guy.
Huge toothless motherfucker.
Did anybody notice how the bad guy, one of the bad guy henchmen in Crocodile Dundee 2, all of a sudden became Crocodile Dundee's best mate in number 3? Anybody else notice that?
I thought I saw that somewhere before. Actually,
Yeah.
I love that movie, man.
What's up, Prime Red?
But
if you haven't seen Prime Red's recent video, you need to go watch that shit. That's fucking hilarious too.
Oh, it is brilliant. It's brilliant. I've got a guess. I'm gonna have a look and see if I can find these hats for you guys as well. They have them in some stores around here, but I want to see if I can get the same ones. Because she I think she hand makes them actually. They're really, really cool. I'm gonna try to get in touch. So what's the sizes? So
mine's gigantic.
See, yours is about the same as me, about 60 cms, right?
60.6.
How do you have such a big head with such a small brain?
Well, I gotta have, swelling.
Yeah.
It's the skull. It's the skull.
I just know that I'm I know that I'm a 7.5 because that's what I buy cowboy hat. That's what I bought my cowboy hat in. So
you don't have a fucking cowboy
get
hat.
it in centimeters.
Do what?
You don't have no damn
centimeters
cowboy
here
hat.
in the rest of the world.
I do. It's around here somewhere.
See?
I wouldn't know.
It.
Seriously,
You
no.
can't even find it.
Citation needed.
When I was in school, I went through a serious metal cowboy phase because I'm a big Metallica fan, and I have this trench coat, this Metallica customized trench coat that I wore all the time, and cowboy boots, cowboy hat, black Stetson, beaver felt. So, yeah.
Okay.
What was that last part?
Oh, the Stetson I had. My Stetson was made out of genuine beaver.
Oh, cool.
It was made out of what?
Beaver felt.
I thought you said felt something else. Never mind. Well, this is made out of genuine kangaroo balls.
So you're teabagging yourself.
Yeah, it's genuine kangaroo leather. As I said in the last stream, it's a great hat because if you drop it, it bounces right back up.
Oh man!
And it comes with a pouch as well.
Doesn't it?
I'm turning into my dad. I really am.
Yeah.
But
19.05 centimeters.
You cannot have a head that small.
Yeah, I was going to say
I'm
that's.
telling you, I'm just that's what.
Are you 6 years old?
Look.
Okay, so Monk Mayfair. Thank you. 7.5 is 59.7 to 60.6.
Yeah.
And
that's extra large, same as mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just ladies, we are talking about hats.
Not Jimmy's.
Jimmy hats.
Look, there's not a woman out there that wants a 60.6 in diameter Jimmy. Okay, not one.
I don't know, man. Have you ever been to Ireland?
I'm telling you, if you
centimeters, not millimeters.
I used to coach. I used to coach netball.
Oh God, where's this going?
And I used to coach one of the university netball teams, and sort of in netball, you're not allowed to defend the player with the ball unless you're 3 feet away from them, and I took them to the central circle is 3 feet across, and I said that's 3 feet, and one of the girls, because it's a female sport, one of the girls, it's a predominantly female sport. There are guys who play it. And one of the girls looked at it and go, "How is that 3 feet when this is 12 inches?"
Wow.
That poor guy.
That poor dude. Jesus. We have derailed.
We feel for you, Nathan. Don't worry, we feel for you.
Well, that's why when Irish and Tony got here, that's why I was kind of curious because j.l.truth was on there talking to team about how masks are more dangerous than people are letting on, and obviously we all know that that's bullshit.
Yep.
And I didn't know if any of y'all had seen the waffling he did, because someone in the chat mentioned that JM does not know how to admit when he's wrong, but I think he actually has a tell, and that is whenever
he opens his mouth.
whenever he's trapped, whenever he's caught in a lie, or he's been proven wrong, is he'll shut up and he'll just stare at his computer like he's looking for something, and then he just stays there long enough for the subject to mildly change, and then he'll use it as a platform to go somewhere else.
That's a good point. I think so. I'm going to drag this slightly political for a second, and I hope that that's okay. But one of the things about Donald Trump is that a lot of people think that he is truthful. A lot of people.
Needed.
And the thing about Donald Trump is that he doesn't think of himself as lying, right?
So
he
does that.
Whatever he says in the moment, he is prepared to squint at and think, well, this is close enough to the truth as makes no difference. And j.l.truth is kind of the same, right? He doesn't feel the need to subject anything he's saying to a subsequent criticism. So he all he needs to do is confuse himself enough about what is reality to pretend that that's accurate.
So there's a legal defense. I forget who was talking about. I think it was this was years ago, right after 9/11 happened, and that fucking Republican talking piece on Fox News had a kid whose father passed or was killed in the Twin Towers, and Bill O'Reilly was just like ragging on this kid, talking about how he was doing all this shit when this kid was just there to talk to him about saying, why are you saying this stuff about myself, my father? You don't know me, you don't know him, so you shouldn't be talking about that. And then the next day, Bill O'Reilly gets on his fucking show and starts like just opening his mouth and spewing all this bullshit that anybody who watched both shows, anybody who's objective, knows that what Bill O'Reilly was saying was absolute bullshit. So this kid said, hey, should I sue him for defamation of character? And the legal defense that he was told said, well, you could do that, but it'll never stick because he lies so much that he doesn't know he's lying. And that's apparently a legal defense against that.
Okay.
Which I think is very good.
Well, I've heard that the defense will use that he's portraying a character. And that O'Reilly you see on the screen is not who Bill O'Reilly is. That he's portraying a character who's reading from a script, and that to infer any kind of truth from what he's saying would not be logical.
Right.
And that no logical person would discern this any different from watching a movie.
Except that patently isn't true, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, no reasonable person would do that, but a lot of people do. And it turns out to be about 30 to 40% of the population of the United States do that.
Well, they sure as hell do it. Anyway, so speaking of...
Guys, I got to jump out. Mrs. Demon just texted me that we need to go.
All right, Irish.
Anyway,
talk to you guys soon.
Or we'll
fantastic to see you.
Good night.
You too. See you, Dan. Have a good one.
Okay.
You knew it.
Yep. All right, so here it is. We're talking about people who are liars in 80s films. What about Bloodsport?
Oh, you're talking about fucking Dukes?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Biggest bullshit artist.
Tony, how familiar are you with Frank Dukes?
So I understand that he's the inspiration for Bloodsports, and he claims that the events portrayed in there in that movie bear some relationship to reality, that he went illegally to fight in sort of lethal street combat in Macau. But that claim never seemed to me to be realistic. Yeah. I don't know too much about him as a person because I didn't look him up after that. Like I was just thinking, this is a bullshit film. Somebody who claims that it's real, I don't need to know about. Yeah. How much more is there to know is my next question.
Yeah.
Black Ops with the CIA.
Oh yeah.
That he was, even though I think his military record is like that big, but he claimed that he was kind of like he was a Black Ops soldier who was sent into like solo areas to do like wet work and shit and all kinds of just insanity.
Yeah. And
so
then,
isn't Seagal?
I was going to say, we're going to segue into the second coming of Frank Dukes and Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal is he saw what Frank Dukes did and did what Steven Seagal did and just fucking took it and ran with it. And
well, see, that's the crazy thing because Frank Dukes is actually a very accomplished martial artist.
Is he?
He's actually very good.
Is he though? Because there are people.
Yes, he is.
Hang on a second.
Videos of.
Yeah, but there are people that will refute everything he's doing. Like there are people out there that refute every bit of what he claims. They'll say that he has
refute his claims.
Well, hang on a second.
But as a martial artist, he's
even
actually quite talented.
Even his martial arts, they call it into question, and they make legitimate arguments. Now, I'm not a martial artist, but there are a few out there. You know, like is it Pink Man who has a channel on YouTube? He talks about bullshitto is it bullshitio or some shit like that. Bullshit martial artists. He talks about Frank Dukes a lot. Who else? Even Joe Rogan's called him out, talking about how Joe Rogan called out Steven Seagal's more for the Aikido. It talks about it's not really it's old and it's kind of a bullshit martial arts form now. He said it's just it's impractical.
I mean that is the thing. So Steven Seagal does have a reasonably high dan in Aikido, but you can see it in his films. Aikido's kind of more of a passive martial art. You wait for somebody to attack you, and then you do something to them.
Right.
So it's a very defensive martial art, and basically, if the person just walked away,
fight's done.
You know the fight is over. So it kind of, and you can see it. He stands outside of their reach, waits for them to come inside his reach, and then he tears them apart when they do it. And he's quite good at tearing them apart. But it relies entirely on them coming into his range. He doesn't seem to have a strategy for if they don't do that. And sort of, so back when Aikido was first developed, it was taught to people who already had black belts.
It was ancient, like samurai, right? So if you had to defend against a sword attack and you didn't have a weapon, correct?
Well, the progression goes. The Japanese peasants developed jujitsu to deal with samurai, and so the samurai needed a technique to defend against people who were trying to grapple them, and that's where Aikijitsu came into existence, which is why a lot of Aikido training is based around somebody trying to grab you while you have a sword. There's a lot of There's a lot of training. There's a lot of training that goes into those techniques. So Aikijitsu was the set of techniques that was sort of developed to fight off Jiu-Jitsu practitioners, and then it was turned into Aikido. But the guy who developed it, he only taught it to people who were already accomplished martial artists. They already knew how to throw a punch. They already knew how to do a kick. And so being able to punch people, being able to kick people is not actually part of Aikido training. And a lot of people come into Aikido, they learn Aikido, and it's based on, sort of, if you throw a punch at somebody, they will defend it and then you can do this. Mm-hmm. Well, if you don't know how to throw a punch, that's not going to work because they're just going to step aside and clean your clock, because that is not actually an effective punch or an effective kick. And what you're doing is actually just waving your hand at them, and relying on the fact that in all the drills, the person reacted like that was a real threat. And to me, because I did some martial arts training when I was younger and fitter, to me, Aikido training was actually quite dangerous, because without the ability to throw a punch or a kick, you are actually just instilling a false sense of security in these people.
Right.
And that's the worst place you want to be in, drawing somebody in or allowing somebody to get in that close without without a response or being able to go on the offensive. Because the majority of my training was in freestyle Greco-Roman and Greco-Roman wrestling. So that was where my grappling technique came from. And then I added in Muay Thai and Krav Maga to that.
Yep.
And just because I realized as a grappler, and that was where I was foremost, you give me I want you in close, but I needed to know how to deliver strikes and how to be able to withstand strikes and blocking techniques and utilizing my body in specific areas that grappling just didn't give.
Yep.
So that was where I went into was, I wanted to know how to strike, and Muay Thai I felt was the best in how to deliver maximum strikes.
Yep.
And for maximum efficiency, and then Krav Maga obviously to end the fight as quickly as possible. So.
Yep, both, and I think it needs to be borne in mind that a lot of these martial arts traditions are very effective at doing what they're designed to do, but it's when you're outside of, you kind of need to have a broader awareness of combat techniques to know what's appropriate to what situation, because karate or Muay Thai, they're kind of based around a certain philosophy of how this fight is going to go, what the exchanges are going. Yeah, it's a chess match. And as soon as somebody goes, well, fuck it, I'm just going to bull rush him and try and tackle him. You've got to have another technique to go to.
Oh, that's what I love, because the majority of people, and I hate to say it, I just misspent youth. I got into a lot. That's why I got into wrestling. It's why I got into grappling. I got into a lot of scrapes, and I got my ass kicked a lot when I was young because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just flail and stuff like that.
Yep.
And when I got into it, I loved being at the advantage of most people. When they get into it, they don't want to get in close. You don't want to be face to face with your opponent because you can't do anything. You have no leverage. You can't really do anything, and that's where I'm my strongest. I love getting my opponent in because I know where to go, and hip tosses and lateral throws.
That's right. Yeah.
And then of course rear naked chokes and arm bars. Those are my absolute favorites.
And I mean it's very tempting, for instance, to dismiss judo as just a game, right?
So
but it is actually, these are people who are trying to use techniques on people who know the techniques and are actively resisting them. So they're actually quite good at implementing these techniques against opposition. So it's actually one of the more effective combat forms.
That's what was so funny, because not to circle back, we don't need to jump on that topic. When Why You Are an Idiot, not when he was talking about me, but when he was talking about the cat actually said he could take Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
He couldn't take Ronda Rousey on a date.
No.
Let alone.
I was like, but she's not just trained. She's Olympic level.
She is
judo, isn't she?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah,
she was a bronze medalist, wasn't she?
Oh wow. You just think it. It's like Couture, Randy Couture, who was a wrestling, an Olympic wrestling medalist or something.
So it was
like that.
Kurt Angle, professional wrestler Kurt Angle, who went to, I think he was in Atlanta, and he's a gold medalist.
Yep. And you just like, these are people whose mastery of technique and speed and precision of execution is just phenomenal. It's mind blowing. It's one of the gripes I actually have to swerve back to movies about the Expendables, is they got these really awesome martial artists in, and then they didn't really let them do much.
There's too many. There were too many characters.
Yeah,
there were too many in there.
Too many characters. The speed and precision that some of these people are capable of, and you see it in Ronda Rousey's obviously professional career, and Steven Seagal, to get back to the sort of our jumping off point, his entire strategy is based around it's one-trick pony.
Yes.
I wait for the opponent to come in, and then I react to what they're doing. And it just doesn't seem to be a very practical. I will say, however, that he has been in one of my favorite films to this day is Executive Decision.
I was hoping you were going to say that. Yes.
But he died in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Well, the first he dies at the beginning of the second act.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and if you ever heard John Leguizamo talk about that, he paints a very shitty picture of Steven Seagal talking about. He was bitching to his agent, talking about, well, I don't know if my fans are ready for me to die, or
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I didn't reveal it to him before he signed the contract.
Right.
It was only after he signed the contract they kind of tricked him into thinking that he was the major character. But it was.
You could just see him. Hey guys, my script doesn't go past page 24.
Why does your script look bigger than mine?
But I love that film so much. Anyway.
Oh, so flat. 90. Okay, so I got two things to bring up, both of them by Flat Derp. First one, it says, what year was Thinner made? I think that was 1992. I could be wrong. No, was it 92 or a little later?
I actually think I'm going to guess 94 off the top of my head, but let me double check.
94 sounds right. Sounds more correct than 92. He says,
no, we're both wrong. 96.
96. Wow, is that late? My goodness. Anyway, so he says, I was going to do a video for Johnny and Irish's next challenge. All right, there we go. Oh yeah, because I don't know how many people know that that Irish and I were in a weight loss challenge right now. So well, we started on Wednesday, but anyway. And then earlier he said, "What about Evil Dead?"
Oh,
what's not to love about Evil Dead?
What is not to love about Evil Dead?
I will point out that Little Wolf says that his great grandfather was the shaman in On Deadly Ground. So there you are. A brush with fame.
Wow.
There.
Very cool.
There you go. The Shining isn't 1980s, is it?
If it is, it's like 1980. I want to say it's 1970.
Yeah.
I could have sworn the
1980. Like I said, if it is, it's 1980. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
So it just made it, and it depends on whether or not you count the zeros as the first.
Yeah, that's right. Normally, you would count the 1980. You would count 1980 as part of the 70s.
Part of the 70s, yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Which seems counterintuitive, but
that's typical because Friday the 13th came out May 1980.
Yeah.
And Friday the 13th is quintessential 80s.
Well, but the series is quintessential 80s, and because every other one of them, with the exception of Jason X and whatever, they came out in the 80s. Well, no, number 9 came out.
Shit on Uber Jason.
I shit on Uber Jason as often as I can.
A shout out to Team Skeptic, who is in the chat.
Oh, Team Skeptic. Uh-oh. You know what that means.
Team, I have to know. So, is that bullshit motherfucker CJ finally banned from debating?
Let's see if we can get an answer to that.
There was some confusion in the chat, but
I certainly hope so. Tremors.
Yeah,
you are a legend. Yes.
Tremors. The best line in there. Fuck you.
Oh, really? Because I would have gone. You broke into the wrong goddamn rec room.
Yep. Reba McEntire and
Can you fly, motherfucker?
Michael Gross.
There you
Michael
go.
Gross. Yep.
Who is still doing it.
Yep.
And God bless him for doing it.
Tremors 7 is coming out.
Oh, if you watch the one that's set in Alaska, right at the beginning, the glacier they're on starts vibrating, and they go, "What is that?" And somebody goes, "Glacial isostatic adjustment." I was so tickled by that.
That was when was that the second one that they brought in Jamie Kennedy in as Gummer's son, or
well, it's not the second one. It's the South
17th.
African.
It's like the 17th one.
Sixth. Fifth.
I know that 7 is coming out here soon. It takes place on an island.
Right.
and Burt Gummer. I saw an early still of it, and Michael Gross. Oh, I did not realize how old he had gotten.
He's got to be in his late
Yeah, but
60s, early
he
70s.
looked the first image of him. He looks very Tom Hanks Castaway
Yeah.
in it. So no shirt and just all tan, just big ass giant beard and everything. So it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be quite crazy fun.
So Monk Mayfair says Army of Darkness is greater than Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2.
Them's fighting words.
I don't know if they're fighting words so much as that I just disagree.
And they're fundamentally while joined by narrative, they're fundamentally different films.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Evil Dead was straight horror, and then
Yeah.
Evil Dead 2 was horror camp,
Yeah.
whereas Army of Darkness was straight comedy.
Pretty much.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, to use one of mine God's favorite words, orthogonal. They're on orthogonal axes. I wouldn't necessarily consider them to be directly comparable.
Yeah, he's
That's amazing.
73 years old, Michael Gross. Michael Gross is 73.
But still fantastic.
Mhm.
And please don't stop making Tremors films, Michael
Hey,
Gross.
He found
We
his
all
niche.
love
He
you.
found his niche. And he is going.
Yeah. Burt Gummer is, to my mind, just one of the you broke into the wrong goddamn rec room.
Yeah.
Or in
Well,
Tremors, Tremors 2, where he gets back and he's obviously been attacked. I feel I was denied vital.
I am completely
Out of
ammunition.
Yep.
It's never happened to me before.
Yeah.
Just some of the lines that I will carry with me through my entire life. Probably displacing useful technical or academic information, but I don't care.
Yeah, my brain is full of useless information, and most of them are movie quotes. So.
Yep, that's right.
Oh yes.
I think I've stumped JL twice.
Oh.
And with movie quotes.
Oh,
And he says it because he wasn't paying attention. I think that's just a likely story.
I have many things going on.
Look, all right, hang on. JL, be quiet for a second.
Okay.
Tony, if I looked at you and say, "What did you do, Ray?" What would you think of?
I would think of Ghostbusters.
Thank you.
Okay, hang on a sec.
No.
You said, "What did you do, Ray?"
Yep.
And legitimately, I was like looking over here at something. I think I was looking at my phone. And so I came back. And I had like 3 conversations going on at once. I was talking to Eugene about something on Discord. I was listening here and I was looking at the phone.
Mhm.
And then you said that. And I came back and was like, huh? Because all I heard was Ray.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's all like, and then you were like, I can't believe I got you. And I was like, oh, Ghostbusters, because it finally clicked. It was like, no,
Yeah.
no, you catching me unawares
Yeah.
is not fair.
Whatever.
You're going to have to fight. You allowed yourself to be ambushed. I'm afraid that's.
I did. I turned my back on.
Yeah, your own tactical failure. You've
That's
got
right.
to protect
I
yourself.
turned my
at all
back on him
times.
like a
Yep.
fucking Indian tiger. He jumped at me because I wasn't wearing one of those masks in the back of my head.
That's
All right.
Have you ever
okay.
seen-
So here's a legitimate one. Here's a legitimate one that I got you on.
Oh fuck! Now you're gonna put me on the goddamn spot.
Yep. Making Contact.
You told me about this movie.
Yep.
I have not had the opportunity to see it yet.
Okay.
Tony, have you seen this one? You might know it as
No, I
Joey, actually.
I don't think I have. No. So there you are. You stumped me too. I have not seen this film.
Already. And it wasn't about glacial isostatic adjustments.
Adjustment. Yeah. Distressingly few films are. I've noticed.
Would you say that The Day After Tomorrow starts out as a glacially isostatic adjustment film?
No, GIA doesn't. So we technically call it G. We usually define it once, and then we say GIA for the rest of the conversation. So things go a lot faster that way. Otherwise, we'd be a lot older. The Day After Tomorrow kind of took a bunch of climate processes that typically take centuries to perhaps millennia to occur, and then made them happen in 24 hours. And actually, I know quite a few scientists who had to receive media training in how to respond to that film.
What?
So the number of questions they were getting from the public about what was being depicted in the film was so large that they received dedicated media training.
Well, that was a year. Like, didn't 2012 come out a little bit after that?
Yeah,
a bunch of disaster films were coming out, and then
that's right.
yeah.
But I mean, but still, so you're talking about things like the polar vortex.
Yeah,
that could, like insta-freeze shit. Like these are things that technically could happen on this planet.
Yeah, that's right. So
okay.
So the polar vortex, for instance, there's a thing called the jet stream, which is a westward running wind system that is held in place by the temperature gradient between the North Pole and the equator. And so this jet stream basically confines polar weather to polar regions in the northern hemisphere. But if you weaken the gradient between the North Pole and the equator, then suddenly that jet stream isn't as strong anymore because the temperature gradient is weaker, and so suddenly the polar excursions, polar vortices, can erupt more regularly. So it's actually a weird consequence of warming the planet up that you can get more of these polar vortices coming down out of polar regions that you wouldn't otherwise experience. The other thing that they mentioned in that movie is sort of the breakdown of the Gulf Stream. Technically it's the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Current, AMOC, because we like our anagrams, because that's a mouthful. It carries hot water from tropical regions up the coast of America and over to Ireland and Europe. And if you put too much fresh water out of Greenland into that area, basically you'll stop that current from occurring. And so what you'll stop the heat transport. And then suddenly most of Europe will wake up to the fact that it's actually at the same latitude as Siberia. And so will a lot of the eastern seaboard a lot of the northeastern seaboard of the United States. And so they will freeze. They will become a lot colder because they're not getting this warm water brought up. At the same time, the warm water is staying in the tropics, so the tropics will suddenly become really, really hot because that warm water isn't being transported away anymore. So you kind of get opposite effects. In some places you'll get cooling, and in some places you'll get warming. But it's one of the things that we can work out. But anyway,
I love that domino effect of science, in that the balance is so precarious, and that one adjustment in one area or another could eventually leaves the equator pretty much inhospitable to life. And then that's always, that kind of thing is always fascinating. It got me into it when I first read Steve Alton's book, Meg.
Right.
Which it's a good. I don't know if you've ever read it. Steve Alton is a marine biologist turned novelist. And,
right. Okay.
He wrote about the megalodon still living in the Mariana Trench, subsisted by hydrothermal venting, and so. But it was the notion of. It was the notion of an apex predator that suddenly re-entering the biosphere, and what it would do, because he didn't just say, "Oh, the giant shark is up, it's eating people, and it's crazy." No, he went in there and he. Throughout the novel, he talks about the effect it had, the trickle-down effect he had, how all of a sudden that when the shark came up, whale migrations changed in response to the presence of the shark. And then when whale migrations changed, that altered everything down below that. And then it threw off everything. Then it begins to affect our fisheries and the way we do harvest. So our harvest season is off, and people are going through food shortages. And just the notion of that has always intrigued me from a scientific standpoint.
It's one of the weirdest things. So we started studying differential equations related to population growth in mathematics, and they said, one of the experiences that brought this to mind was actually after World War One. There were a lot of Italian fisheries that weren't operated during World War One because there was fighting too close, and so they expected to come back to these fisheries that were well stocked with fish, and it turned out that actually their fisheries were destroyed. They were decimated. They had a fraction of the population that they had. And what had happened was that the fisheries had become so abundant that a bunch of predators had moved in and they were just eating the shit out of the fisheries. Whereas before, when they were being fished, it wasn't tempting enough to draw the predators in. So by fishing it, they were actually keeping the predators at bay so that the fish could thrive. Removing the fishing, suddenly all of the predators moved in and the fish populations plummeted.
And you touch on that. It's impressive because how they basically stopped fishing and all of a sudden the nature kind of moved back in to fill that spot.
Yep.
And it was, right. And I think no better example of that has been other than recently, because when the quarantines came on, and everybody was locked down like that. It shocked me how fast nature pushed back into certain areas that people were not going anymore. So vineyards that were no longer being tended in India were suddenly overrun by elephants, and it didn't take months for it to happen. They moved in like they were waiting.
Like next day. The next day they said, "Hey guys, check it out."
Exactly. And I can say here in Allen, sorry, I don't mean to dox myself, but here in North Texas where I live, we have a pretty sizable coyote population, and of course, possums and raccoons and various other things, but you don't really ever see them. And then give it like 2 weeks into it, and I'm seeing them coming down the street. Because nobody is out. There is no traffic anywhere. So, right. And all that, how quickly
or maybe we're just seeing the ones that normally get run over.
That could be true.
All right, so we're going to talk about 2 more films, and then we're going to wrap it up. So first, Commander Darklight brought this up. I didn't know this was happening, but apparently they're making a 3rd Tron film. So that brought me back to the original Tron. I loved Tron. One of my favorite sci-fi films of all time.
One of my favorite David Warner performances.
Yeah. Well, and there's a living treasure. Well, I'm not sure if he's still alive. He was the last time I checked.
He is. He is.
But yes, absolutely. Slightly silly concept for a film, let's face it.
But if you think about it at the time, right? So like video games were at the beginning of their peak, or not peak, their beginning of the rapid shoot upwards. So it was all relatively new, and computer programming was relatively new, and digitization was new, and it was an excellent film to just kind of like pull on all those little things and fears and that world that was built inside of Tron. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was, and a good film. Just as an aside, and because you use the phrase, just keep an eye on how many flat earthers use the phrase "think about it."
You know what? Look. I have yet to call you Danny Pratt. You one more, and I'm going to change the title from live chat about 80s films with PhD Tony to Danny Pratt, Mister.
There you go.
Actually, I'm gonna kind of segue here, because someone just said, Tron made a computer relevant to me.
Yes.
And I'm sitting thinking as like and I'm suddenly reminded, it may be completely off topic, Flight of the Navigator.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Pee Wee Herman.
Oh, Pee Wee's Big Adventure?
No, Pee Wee Herman. Paul Rubens. That was the voice of the. That's the voice of the.
Voice of the robot of the yes.
Yeah. Look, that's twice, j.l. That's twice in one night.
I was going to go in a completely different direction. Do you guys remember a science fiction film called Black Hole, or The Black Hole?
Yes.
With Maximilian the robot?
Yes. Yes, I do remember that one. I remember watching that thinking, what the fuck am I looking at?
That scared the crap out of me as a kid.
That was a scary film. And for a child, that was a scary film.
All right, and so I'm really looking forward to if Tron 3 is coming out, I will be in theaters to watch that one. I'll wear all the masks and the gloves and whatever, and eat popcorn through the mask. But we'll check. I want to check that. I will check that out. Anaceto in the chat says we're going to start calling you PhD Pratt.
And I got to throw it out there. Yes, Quiddy's the sprinkler. Bruce Willis is a total douche in real life.
Yes,
he absolutely is.
And
look at this. Look at all this love for Flight of the Navigator.
Yep.
Fucking love that movie.
I've got it on Blu-ray. Our DVD. I shared it with the kids years ago, and they loved it. I remember watching it as a kid.
Speaking of scary Disney films, because Black Hole was Disney.
Yeah, that's right.
Fucking Black Cauldron.
Yeah.
Because that it's an animated film, but that is one of the films that Disney really doesn't like to say that they were behind because it was so dark.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
If you go back and look at a lot of those, like Dumbo, that was a dark film. It had a happy ending, but it was still a dark film. All right. So the last film we're going to take a look at before we call it a night, we're going to look at surfer film Point Break.
Oh.
And okay, so JL, you know how you talked about Kristen Stewart being the epitome of trying to withhold all emotion?
Yes.
She is the same.
For Tony, to give you context of that, I just recently watched Underwater.
Yeah.
And it suddenly struck me that what Kristen Stewart does as an actress is, first and foremost, her big tactic is she portrays a person trying to control or contain her emotions at all times.
Yep.
To the point that she like shakes and has like nervous tics and doesn't know what to say, or she's fumbling her words. And this is not, and I was like, wow, this is not emoting. The actor's toolkit should be far deeper than this. But it suddenly struck me, I was like, oh my God, I finally understand Kristen Stewart's approach to everything.
Right.
So that was
I actually quite enjoyed Underwater. I think that the ending is actually peculiarly Lovecraftian.
The director did say that is supposed to be Cthulhu.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And I was kind of like, I'm not a fan of how Cthulhu was depicted in that.
Spoiler alert.
When I found that out, it's not a spoiler, trust me. And I went back and I watched it again just because I typically watch horror movies 2 or 3 times in a row. And I went back and watched it, and I was looking for the little subtle clues that are all and there are little tiny set design clues that are all over the place that hint to that, like the paranoia that people feel at those depths. Well, that's Cthulhu psychically affecting people around them, and the kind of stuff, people turning on each other, and behavioral changes and psychological stresses of doing this, and everybody's attributing it to being so deep underwater, 7 miles underwater, but in actuality it's Cthulhu and that shit. But I didn't like how it was depicted, because he took designs from the vampires in Blade with the unhinging jaw, and he tried to make it more modernized. I'm a Cthulhu purist. I like the classic, I like the classic design.
Okay. Have you seen the knitted Cthulhus you can get? There are people who make knitted Cthulhus.
I like the face
that are actually
better.
that are actually quite cute. So they're worth getting. They're worth looking up on the internet if you if you ever get an opportunity. But anyway,
we were talking about Point Break, of course, and how Keanu Reeves your description of Kristen Stewart. I think Keanu Reeves.
There is an element to that, though. I
made JL mad.
No, I'm thinking. I really am.
Is it The Gift? Is that the one where he plays the angry redneck? That's a Sam Raimi movie as well, isn't it?
I think so.
With the one with Cate Blanchett?
Yeah.
With Katie Holmes and J.K. Simmons as the sheriff.
Katie Holmes.
Katie Holmes is the victim. So
Katie Holmes is the victim.
She's always a victim. She got married to Tom Cruise.
Yes, Cate Blanchett is the psychic. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
Yep. He plays an angry redneck in that, and I thought he was actually sort of moderately effective in the role. But perhaps I just liked the film overall. So
maybe
I thought he was kind of effective in The Watcher.
I don't know. To me, he just seems the same.
Because he was pretty effective as a serial killer in The Watcher.
It works in some of the things he does. It works. Some things it just doesn't. Like Bram Stoker's Dracula, the worst. I almost hate that movie because of Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder. Those two are shit in that movie.
Oh,
and anybody
really?
you can't.
That's why you hate that film?
Well, there are other things in there that.
There's a lot to hate about that film.
There is a lot to hate about it. The fact that they changed it from a vampire story to a love story. Yeah, so there's a lot to hate, but all that was forgivable. And then Keanu Reeves with his shitty accent and Winona Ryder with her terrible delivery.
I have to say that I'm going to stick up for actors, right? Because there are a lot of decisions that go between, that occur before that actor is put in that position.
Well, sure.
And I actually blame the people. If somebody comes up to me and says, "Look, I want to pay you a few $1 million. Are you going to stand over there and deliver these lines?" I'll do it for a few $1 million. Sure.
I'd do it for 50,000 right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Fuck, I'll do it for free.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And obviously I'm not an actor of any caliber whatsoever.
You do play good Danny Pratt.
Thank you for that. So I can put you on my resume if anybody and apparently Ted Kaczynski.
Whoa.
So if anybody's making thinking of making a Unabomber film, you can talk to the plot hole. He's got my contact details. So, so anyway, and I did undergraduate mathematics. So just saying.
That's true.
I can bring verisimilitude to this
right.
to this role. But so when actors often end up holding the can for some crappy script writing and some crappy direction, and the director had to be happy with the shots he got before he stuck him in the can, right? I really think that we can blame actors for a lot of stuff, but a lot of other people have screwed up before it gets to that point.
So here's where I'll take that. Yes, a director definitely holds responsibility for what puts in the can. However, as Hollywood films go, so let's say J.L. Warren and I were making a Hollywood film, and we were relatively well known, like Francis Ford Coppola was, and we said, "Hey,
relatively well known."
He was relatively well at the time.
Some people had heard.
Some people had, at that time. Some people kind of like this guy, Apocalypse Now, whatever.
Well, I'd rather go for The Godfather, but
or The
if you want to go
sure. I was being a little more obscure. Anyway. So even Francis Ford Coppola at the time still has to present bankable talent. So if I come up and say, "Hey, I want to put in this relatively unknown, and I want you to give me," I forget what the budget of that film was at the time, but it was a large sum of money. You're gonna get film studios like, "No, we want this up and coming person, or we want this person in there because they're bankable. We can take it to the bank." Yeah,
that's entirely true. It's not all on the director either.
Right.
And I regret saying that. Not making that clear that that it all falls on the director, because obviously producers and studios have their say in who's going to get what role, but I think that actors end up holding a disproportionate blame for what ends up on screen.
Agreed. But when you have that horrible accent.
Yeah,
you should get
absolutely. On the other hand, Brad Pitt in The Devil's Own, for instance. Where
it wasn't that bad. His Irish accent wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. It was hillbilly Irish. It was hillbilly Irish.
No, you talk to Irish Demon or Crafty Keeler and ask them. It was fucking atrocious.
And yet he managed to pull it off in Snatch.
He did.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
did. That is the amazing thing.
And
Like he,
the funny thing
his
is,
performance in Snatch is impeccable. Like what happened in between. Obviously,
well, this
he's
is
got-
what this is what happened. He almost turned down Snatch because of the backlash he got from Devil's Reject about his accent.
Okay.
Devil's Own.
Well,
not Devil's
Devil's Own. Sorry, I'm
Yes,
thinking
yeah.
Keanu Reeves. I'm
you
thinking
are
Keanu Reeves, and then thinking,
Keanu
no, I'm
Reeves,
kidding.
aren't you? Yeah.
But anyway, back
but-
to Point Break.
Yeah.
We all saw the
One
sequel.
of the greatest films ever made.
We all saw the remake, right?
No.
You didn't see the
No,
remake?
I did not.
You didn't see Fast and Furious?
Oh, the
If you've seen Fast and Furious and you've seen
okay,
Point
who are you
Break,
dogging on? Are you dogging on Paul Walker or are you dogging on Vin Diesel?
Vin Diesel.
I'm dogging on the fact that it was the exact same movie.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Pretty much the same plot, just changed the car.
Yes, they took out surfing and put in car racing, but it was the exact same movie.
All right.
Well, the plot. I mean,
and-
come on.
And this is where I'm going to admit I've never seen the Fast and the Furious.
You're not missing
So-
anything.
The first
That's
one was
what I
pretty
thought.
good. The first one was
That's-
pretty good.
The first one
That's
was
what I
pretty
thought.
good if you needed to take a shit.
Oh my god! I mean, come on. The cars there were sick. That Charger at the end is fucking glorious.
So this
It
is
had
this
Vin
is,
Diesel as one of the main characters. And talk about
Oh,
shit actors.
Don't shit on the Diesel.
I will shit on
Okay,
Vin
so-
Diesel.
I will say that I was impressed by Vin Diesel in Man on Fire. And I quite enjoyed Triple X, if I'm going to be honest.
I really dug him. I dug him in because he's done some non-action stuff. Now his early stuff, he had two things. He had Multifacial and he had Strays, both of which were excellent. That showcased his acting ability because he wrote them and he controlled them. So Multifacial was fantastic. That's what got that Multifacial is what got Steven Spielberg's attention and cast him in Saving Private Ryan.
I was going to say that's my favorite Vin Diesel role.
Because he got shot?
Yes. Twice.
Anyway, but he was in Find Me Guilty. He was actually quite good in that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I bag on Vin Diesel a lot
given the
because of the Fast
opportunity-
and Furious. I think it's
If
just
given the
shit. It's
opportunity
just real shit.
to act, he actually can. He's actually quite good.
I have to. I'm going to cut myself off from saying that. I want to say that I will. There are some actors that if they choose to appear in a film, I will have enough confidence in that project to go and watch it. And one of them is The Rock. He hasn't. Even he has not really tempted me to go and watch Fast and the Furious. I did watch it when Vin Diesel wasn't around with him and Jason Statham because that's too much awesome in one film not to go and see.
Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw, yeah.
Okay, their chemistry together is bar none. It's been a long time since I've seen two male leads have that kind of chemistry playing off of each other, as much as they hate one another. And I knew I was going to see that movie the minute because I saw the trailer, and it was The Rock is over here and Statham's over here, and when he sees him, and then Rock just delivered that line. It's such a stupid line. I am going to beat you like a Cherokee drum. Only how The Rock could deliver that line.
That's right.
And I was like, I'm going to see this movie. I'm going to see it.
The only two performances by The Rock that I thought were really good, and you're gonna bag on me. You're gonna bag on me. I know you're gonna bag on me for these things here, but he did hit, regardless if you like the film or not. In Jumanji, he did a fantastic job.
No, when you say the most impressive acting performance The Rock has ever done, my instant thought is Jumanji and the sequel.
Well, I haven't seen the sequel yet, but the first one, my goodness, I was genuinely shocked and impressed by his ability to play a nerdy kid in The Rock's body.
Yep. That's
that right
right.
there was just I was
That is
supremely
exactly.
impressed.
And the quality of the acting in the first Jumanji film, because I actually didn't like the original Jumanji, the
The Robin
original
Williams.
Robin Williams.
Right.
Robin Williams film, and so I don't know what possessed me to go and watch the second one, apart from the fact The Rock was in it. But I went to
You're forgetting Zathura.
Oh yeah,
yes,
that
I
is
am.
the-
Zathura was Jumanji was a
Zathura.
sequel.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
what-
Well, I don't know if
what's
I call it a
the
sequel
but
so much as it's
but
in the same universe.
but I didn't go and see that, so I don't know what possessed me to go see Jumanji, but I did, and holy shit, for a film that I went in expecting nothing from,
Right.
it blew my socks off, and the acting performances from The Rock and Jack Black.
Yes.
Right, Jack Black as the sexy chick to Karen Gillan's nerdy chick.
Right.
There is so much visual comedy and body identity comedy going on
Yes.
in that. It just blew me away. I walked out of there sort of. I was expecting to walk into there. I walked into that movie expecting to be 2 hours poorer, coming out of it, and I walked out 2 hours richer. So it was just a 180-degree turn as far as I was concerned.
So that performance, and then his performance in Moana.
Oh, he was fantastic.
Because
Yeah.
for me, the worst part about The Rock is his line delivery. So to cast him as a voiceover, a cartoon character, I was like, oh man, that's a shit move. And then I saw it, and then I heard him sing the song, or I heard the song, the "You're Welcome" song. I was like, man, that sounds an awful lot like fucking Dwayne Johnson. And it turns out he fucking sang that shit. It's like, well, I've got to give him respect.
Extremely talented.
Yeah, I mean,
I have to admit, I'm not a big fan of some of the comedies of a lot of comedies out there, but the one he did, the name is escaping me. I don't commit them to memory like I do horror films. But him and Kevin Hart, when it starts out, Kevin Hart is
CIA.
Yeah.
Was
Central
CIA?
Intelligence. Central Intelligence. Or
Yeah,
something
Central
like that.
Intelligence. That was it. When Kevin Hart was a popular kid in high school, and he was the fat nobody that nobody liked, except for Kevin Hart always stuck up for him. And
that's right.
The scene of him in the shower, of course, they took The Rock's face and put it on the fat kid.
Yeah,
But
that's right.
his facial contortions, and I could see The Rock doing that in the mocap.
Yep.
And I was like, his mastery of that, just conveying that was so wonderful. And I knew he was, and of course we see it again, his kind of mastery of his body in the Jumanji films. So
he is
right.
He is actually really good, and he seems to have a good eye for a script. Like I have yet to see him in a script where I think, well, that's just so terrible.
You didn't see Doom. You didn't see Doom. Yeah.
Actually, I quite enjoyed him in Doom.
His line delivery is perfect. I mean, soldier, that kind of thing. There was some good rock moments.
Dr. So-and-so's condition is not reversible because he is dead.
Yeah. I feel like they were trying to give him too many like Arnold Schwarzenegger type one-liners.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, so I'm a huge fan of Dexter Fletcher. I'm not sure if you guys know who he is. But he's also in Doom. So I was surprised he's the guy in the wheelchair in Doom.
Yeah.
Yep. So he was on a weird ass British television show called.
Is there anything other than weird ass British television shows?
Well, he was on a show called Press Gang, which was written by Stephen Moffat, and who
fucked up Doctor Who.
Yeah, the guy who fucked up Doctor Who. But there was a stage before he did that, and I quite agree. He also stuffed up Sherlock. Like he just completely took a character I loved and bent him over a barrel and just fucked him senseless. But anyway, but before he did that, he did Press Gang, and Press Gang is some of the funniest crap you will see, and it's got a couple of big names in it. Julie Swalia, so sort of the lead voice actress from Chicken Run.
Okay.
She was also in Absolutely Fabulous, where she played the daughter in Absolutely Fabulous. Dexter Fletcher, who was a big part of Band of Brothers. He was also in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
You mean
and-
Snatch?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
You mean
Yes, he was.
Snatch?
No, I mean Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking
You mean Snatch?
Barrels. No, I don't.
They're two separate movies. Don't even play that game.
It's the same goddamn movie.
No, they're not.
It's the same
No,
goddamn
no.
movie.
If you think that those are the same, then you know nothing about Guy Ritchie.
I know everything about
yeah,
Guy Ritchie, and if you look at those, the plot is the same. Fuck off.
The plot may be the same, but
No,
is not in Snatch.
No,
And here's the thing, I like both movies. I like both movies. I like both movies.
Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, and Rock and Rolla. They have similar elements, but they are not the same movie.
Not at all.
Okay, so
Not at
Rock and Rolla is
And
definitely not. Rock and Roll, I wouldn't put that. I love Rock and Rolla, by the way.
And I have to say, I went to see again. I keep on using that phrase. Fuck it, Tony. Just say it. Don't presage it. I went to see The Gentleman, and I really liked that. And I'm going to stick up for Guy Ritchie. I went to see King Arthur. It's not as bad as people say. It's not a great film, but and I went to see The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which I thought was actually a fantastic film.
Very good homage,
yeah.
Did you see Revolver?
No,
I
haven't
loved
seen
Revolver. If you haven't seen Revolver,
amazing.
as soon as we get off of this live chat, and if you have 2 hours, go watch it. It is an amazing film. Now, the guys, the I forget their names, but the puppet masters.
Great
Oh, you're talking about Andre Benjamin and
Yes.
Vincent Pastore. Yeah.
Not the best. Not the best. They don't give the best performances. But overall, the film. Look at it from more of a social standpoint, but excellent movie. Love that film.
Will do. You guys impressed the hell out of me. So if you recommend I'm going to go see a film, I am going to make an effort to go see it. So
I recommend that to anybody who loves just watching films, especially offbeat films, because
Yes.
Revolver took there were some elements in there that are that are kind of staples of Guy Ritchie films. The multiple characters, interweaving storylines, all coming to a major conclusion, that kind of thing. But Revolver was so different because he wrote it and directed it at the time when Madonna had him really big into Kabbalah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there are themes that interweave through that entire film, and once you see them and you have an eye for it like we do. Once you start picking up on these things, it will literally blow your mind.
Yes.
It requires multiple viewings. And I watch it every once in a while because I don't want to spoil anything. Definitely watch it.
Okay.
You can't watch it just one time and get the whole movie. Even if you're as deep into film as JL and some of the other guys, you have to. It is a multiple watch.
I have never watched a Guy Ritchie film only once.
Yeah.
So I
He was Layer
I will
Cake
go
too,
back.
wasn't he?
Was
What's that?
he?
No,
Layer
I
Cake.
made it wrong.
I'm not sure that he was Layer Cake. I'm certain I would have.
Maybe he produced it.
I do want to say that we bagged on Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula to give it its full title.
Sorry, that was Matthew Vaughn.
Yeah, Matthew Vaughn.
But I do owe a debt of gratitude because I think it's the person who sort of catapulted Gary Oldman into broader fame and gave him the opportunity to sort of contribute to our lives because he is. I am certainly grateful that he has gotten to appear in as many films as he's gotten to appear in.
Yes.
I may not like that film, but again, that's not his fault.
And he and Anthony Hopkins are the only ones they're the saving graces of that film.
Yep, that's right.
Oldman's chameleonic ability is one of the inspirations for my own career, predominantly in theater. and it's something that I'll never be as talented as that man was, no matter how much training I take or whatever I do. But I keep that in mind. I try to go for that, and think, what would Gary Oldman do? But come on, we all know
that is fantastic advice.
And but we all know it was him in True Romance that really.
Right. Yes.
Really
okay. That's true. That's true too. He was in True Romance. Yeah. It's not like today, is it?
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead because him and Tim Roth playing off one another.
Yep.
Their camaraderie was amazing. Yep. I love
two of the greatest active talents of our generation. I'm going to say. As much as I like The Rock, I'm not sure that his acting ability is necessarily comparable with either Gary Oldman or Tim Roth.
Yeah, we're not sure on that one either.
If you ever want to see something really funny, and I recommend this for the live chat as well, go on YouTube and check out a video. I think you have to search Gary Oldman basketball.
Yes. Yep.
And watch that video, and it's absolutely amazing.
That's exactly my point. Spoiler alert, I guess. That doesn't really spoil anything, but yeah.
We got a piece of shit in the chat.
Yeah, hey, look, thank God it's flat, dude. You want to come in and enjoy the conversation about film and all that stuff, you're more than welcome to, but if you want to come in and start fucking harassing people, you can go spit. Fuck off. I won't put up with that shit. So, keep it respectful or fuck off. Your choice. I don't give a shit which way. But I won't put up for that. So.
Yeah.
Sexually harassing the women in this chat for a while.
I think it's... I think... Sorry, I haven't been keeping an eye on the chat. And
I haven't either.
CJ brought this sort of into sharp focus earlier today, but just the sociopathic indifference to other people, to the need to respect the people around you. I don't care. I may disagree with Johnny O violently about anything, the politics, the relative merits of the Thing versus Alien. He may think that the Alien is much better. He may not think that the Thing is the best film ever made. He's obviously demonstrably wrong. But
I never said any of that, by the way.
I still respect him.
I'm in Tony's camp on this one.
I never said that any of that stuff.
I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but if you did say that, I would still respect you as an individual. Obviously significantly less than I do now, but I would still respect your feelings and I would not say anything. I would respect for the people around you. That's the basis on which society works. And if you cannot muster that, then basically society has no use for you and you can fuck right off.
What does that say? That we of the 4 last great apes. So humans, gorillas, chimpanzees, and bonobos.
Bonobos, yeah.
Bonobos. Okay. So
tomato.
We of the last 4 great apes are the only ones who seem to have this difficulty. That because in gorilla groups and chimp groups and bonobo groups, there are these are things like this mutual respect and compassion between individuals is not really an issue for in these primate groups.
I don't know. I don't know. The other ones kind of beat the shit out of each other.
They are capable of the same levels of tribalism and we are, but you do not see that level of infighting amongst, and you don't see that you see in humans that you don't see it in them for some reason. That always blows my mind. And if you go even further down the evolutionary track, you go cetaceans. Mm-hmm. You see none of that because it's fascinating. The documentaries on orcas, pods will come together. Separate pods live their lives separately, matriarchally led, will come together in times of strife and they and to work together. And then when they're done, they split off and they go their thing. You don't see the kind of bullshit, and that's a more evolved species. But even in differently evolved species, in our cousins, we don't see this shit. Why is it that we cannot get a handle on that?
Yeah.
Id. That is the answer. Id.
Oh, you're a fan of the Forbidden Planet.
We're talking about ego, really.
But you can't talk about id without my first encounter with id was via the Forbidden Planet and the id monster.
Yep.
Spoiler alert.
It's only been
30 years, 40 years. Yeah. No need for a spoiler alert on that one. All right. And on that note, we're going to end this shit because, I mean, we can't have too much of a good thing. We need to save some for next time. Dr. Pratt, you're always welcome to talk to talk movies with us. Yeah.
Just let me get into character before I respond to that.
All right.
Oh, the headphones. The
headphones on the inside this time.
Yep.
That way he has a secret.
Yep.
Yeah, that way I have a secret. And I need to lean into the camera like this.
Yeah.
And take the glasses off.
You forgot your coffee and cigarette. And you say you're not a good actor.
Anytime.
This is YouTube gold.
Yes. Flat Derp, you're welcome.
You're right, yeah.
Now that's gonna be our motivation from now on. Is what can I do for Flat Derp this week?
Exactly.
For him. We're all just working.
Flat Derp. I hope you're listening right now. And if you're not, I'll whatever. But you need to have Dr. Pratt in a mirror match with Danny Pratt.
Yeah.
And there's a confusion when they both get together and look at each other. It's just like a confusion. There you go.
I don't do much, but I love my little kind of like Alfred Hitchcock show-ups in the background. I will be happy to accept those.
Yes.
Dear. But it's always a pleasure to be here. I do want to say that was one of the most fantastic discussions about Point Break that never actually discussed Point Break ever.
I think he just wanted to shit on Keanu.
Well,
no, I wanted to shit on the fact that they made that movie. They did a remake of that movie, and nobody has acknowledged it yet. Nobody's acknowledged that Fast and Furious is Point Break. No one.
Well, I want to say that it was fantastic to see Gary Busey in one of his iconic roles. So there you go.
I like Gary Busey.
I recently watched the first season of From Dusk Till Dawn, and it was fascinating to see Jake Busey. In it. For those people who don't believe in evolution or genetics, the Busey family are kind of going to prove you wrong every single time.
All right, so Dr. Tony, what you got coming up? You have some debates, or I know you're making an appearance on the Plot Hole the end of this month on the 31st.
Yes, at the end of this month on the 31st, I'm appearing on iNetwork next weekend in their main podcast. I'm working on some stuff with Team Skeptic, and I'm trying to put together a video on carbon dioxide and its effect on climate coming out this week.
I look forward to that.
That's what I'm hoping anyway.
Awesome.
Wait, the effects of CO2 on climate change?
Yep, that's right. Yeah, so
go ahead.
There's a lot of denialism about the effects of CO2 on climate change and sort of arguments that it doesn't.
Well, I'm going to pick your brain on that one later.
And yet they don't deny methane.
So it's a weird argument. And actually, that gets into its own scientific complexity because actually, methane is a much weaker greenhouse gas objectively. The issue is that we don't have so much methane.
And
so
that was my fear. Though,
yeah,
when I was reading into it was as CO2 increases, and it's a very as a greenhouse gas, temperature
yep,
warms, and then the tundras
yep,
begin to slowly melt, and the
that's right.
permafrost
So
begins to melt, and then the
yep,
thousands of years of organic material sitting
yep,
underneath that, permanently frozen, then thaws out,
yep,
decomposes, and dumps
yep,
methane by the truckloads
yep,
into the atmosphere, and that's like one of the big bad
yep.
hallmarks
So
of
that's
climate
a
change.
so there are a number of there are a number of uh, that's one of them. There's another thing called clathrates, which are sort of methane deposits that are frozen on the bottom of the seabed, and they might also go off if you raise water temperature enough. So that's another potential source of methane emissions. But there are a number of other potential positive feedback events that may go off. So what's happening is we're driving at full speed through a minefield, and there could be a couple of mines that go off that could make the situation much worse than it currently appears. So we're driving at the analogy I use is we're driving at full speed towards a brick wall through a minefield. And so the question is, do the mines go off first, or do we hit the wall? That's the ultimate question of what's that sort of summarizes the risks we're taking with our current climate policies. But I just want to start with carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, and we can prove it. So
Yeah,
and
I'm extremely curious. And Johnny,
yeah,
we'll be able to shut this down in a second, but I have to ask this because now that you've mentioned this, I did not know about that.
right.
But okay, we've seen with CO2 what rising CO2
Mm,
levels have done to the oceans, and of course,
yep.
we've seen the effects it's had on the Great Barrier Reef,
Hmm.
on certain areas of the ocean have become too acidic, and that
Yep.
life has had to push elsewhere. We've seen in the dead zones, we've seen that
Yep.
stuff like that. What would methane do coming up from the
So
bottom?
we actually have an answer to that already. So there's a period about 55 million years ago. There was an event called the Paleocene Eocene Thermal Maximum, or the PETM, and ocean acidity sort of skyrocketed. There are some ocean cores that there are ocean wide, you can look at the ocean cores and you can see them abruptly change color at exactly the point where this happens, because a lot of the organisms, the carbonaceous organisms, just went extinct. So a class of organisms called foraminifera, they still exist today, but sort of in a reduced number of species. So they were just wiped out.
So it's similar to the line, to the geologic line that indicates the KT extinction event.
Yeah, that's right. It's
Okay.
though it's more abrupt than that, and actually, sort of weren't so many extinction events on land, but there was a massive reorganization of the terrestrial ecosystem. So actually, that's the point at which apes started prospering. So that PETM at 55.5 million years ago was actually created conditions that apes could really exploit. So it had this huge effect. But yeah, that's the current theory. All we know is that there was a massive release of carbon dioxide and ocean acidity shot up, and that's what we think that the clathrates are going to do. We think that clathrates were responsible for that happening. That's our best guess at this point.
Cool. Well, not cool. I mean, catastrophic, but
Yeah, but it's
JL, did
nice
you just
to have
say? Did you
information.
just say that it's cool that we're all about to be farted to death?
it occurred. I was like, that I have knowledge. That is cool. No, it is not cool because now I am more aware of my mortality.
It can be a bit depressing, but yeah. Fortunately, it's only going to affect younger people. We're probably going to be dead by the time it sort of kicks into full gear. So yeah, You're welcome, younger generation.
You're welcome.
We
are
give this
lighting
to
this
you.
fart. Yeah. We're eating the burrito. You have to deal with the gas.
That's right.
All right, JL, what you got coming up?
Oh man, got a bunch of cool stuff. On our next episode of Week in Horror, we have our new bloodbath debate where we are taking on, because the listeners voted for it, we're doing a bloodbath debate of Pumpkinhead versus the Creeper.
Yeah.
So that'll be on our next episode of Week in Horror, and we also have horror personality Don Anelli will be appearing on the show this month, so he'll be our After Dark guest, which will be a lot of fun. We have pretty much for the month coming out, but a big thing coming up is obviously we are heading towards our season finale of the first season of Week in Horror, which is really freaking cool. It's going to be coming up here pretty soon. We're going to do a giant live stream event. We've got all kinds of things planned. Lots of special guests that are going to be popping by and stopping in to say hello. That'll be really fun. We'll do that on the Week in Horror channel that I hope everyone in the channel, in the live chat, sub to, because we really want to get those up.
I did. You should too.
Appreciate
There you
that.
go.
And I will say that because of everyone's support out there, we're finally able to do one of the things that we wanted to do. One of our goals was to create original, film content, original content. Because of our listenership, we are able to do that. We are currently working towards greenlighting our first short film, which will be shooting up in Ohio, probably in October. You may see Johnny O in that if he can, if this audition goes well enough. But we have a lot of really, really cool stuff coming down the road. As always, Week in Horror, check us out on YouTube, or if you just listen to podcasts on listening sites, check us out on Anchor, Spotify, iHeartRadio. We're all over the place. You can check out our website, weekinhorror.net. Join our mailing list for a chance to win a mystery horror T-shirt every single month. So that's pretty much it. You just enter in your email address, and then boom, we'll shoot it. We do not spam. Keep that in mind. And you can win a horror T-shirt every month. Other than that, it's pretty much just gearing up. And of course, whatever I do with Johnny or whatever I do with a team or fight or anything like that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Next week, we push the Master Debaters next week. So if you guys like Master Debaters, we have prizes. Normally, I was supposed to give this away today. This right here. And let's see, where else? I got other shit. And Betsy fucking Ross right here. We were supposed to give those away today, but I had some issues. I had some issues with technology. Technology sucks. AT&T sucks, by the way. Don't do AT&T. They suck. Anyway, yeah. So
or cocaine.
Whatever.
Don't do AT&T or cocaine.
There you go.
They're both.
They're
both bad.
AT&T,
solid.
like meth. Not even.
solid advice. Yeah, so Master Debaters we push to next Saturday. So next Saturday, 8:00, and we will keep that time. I'll have everything fixed, hopefully, with AT&T. They're a bunch of asshats. And then what else I got coming up? Yeah, I've got my expose video coming out. I hope to have it out next week. I'm just waiting on that one last piece of evidence, or it's good. You guys are going to like it. You might not. You might be upset about it, but whatever. I don't care. I got to put my investigative journalism hat on for a little bit, so that was fun.
It's very impressive.
I'm very curious, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm impressed and curious, so I beat you. Ha, JL.
You have been one-upped.
I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy.
Tune in. We've got a debate coming up with Team Skeptic on the plot hole. That's going to be on rockmetaltalk.com. I'm not for certain on the date. I'm going to see if I can finagle it for next Friday, or this coming up Friday, because I don't believe I have anybody scheduled. I'm going to try and get the Schrodinger's cat, the Prime Red, and the Huge Arse. I'm going to put all the highlights into one video and put that up on Wednesday. That was a lot of fun. All three of those shows were a lot of fun. And then 31st, we've got Dr. Pratt. He's going to come on the plot hole, the podcast version. And of course, we're going to get back to doing the Monday night movie reviews, or the Monday movie reviews. So JL's been busy. I've been busy doing other little projects here and there. So that'll be fun. And then I'm going to start a new series, Unpopular Opinions, which is kind of what this was tonight. Like my unpopular opinion about Top Gun. It's a shit movie.
Yep.
But anyway.
Except it is popular. We outvoted JL 2-1.
2-1.
So,
There we go.
yeah.
And then I know JL has a Patreon. It's patreon.com/weekend horror. If I'm
Yep.
right. Yes. Okay. Cool.
We have as low as a $1 tier for those who can and really like what we do.
Yep.
As far as talking about horror movies and doing deep dives as filmmakers. If you really like it, if you want to support the show, if you can support the show, that all that stuff goes to help improve the show and of course do our own original content, which is the intention. And I also totally spaced. Hopefully this week as well, I will have a new j.l.truth. What the fuck? I will have a
go with it.
Yeah, I am going with it. As you see, I changed it back, but I will have a new video coming out taking a swing at the Key of David Christian Center in Philadelphia. I can't stand those fuckers.
Fuck those guys.
I will be taking a swing at them. Hopefully that will be done. Hopefully I'll get it done. It'll be out this week, early this week.
Oh, and I want to say, and I want to quickly say thank you before even seeing the product, because I think that obnoxious extremism just needs to be confronted and beaten down wherever it occurs. So thank you for doing that. It needs to go away.
Absolutely, it does.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I've got those things coming up. I have a Patreon as well, the Plot Hole. It's patreon.com/theplothole1. That's the number 1, not ONE. Like, God damn it, JL. You had one job to do.
What?
The Oneaters. I can't with you right now. I just can't deal with you right now. It's 3 times in one stream.
I'm not here for that.
The fuck you aren't.
I'm looking at the live chat. See people asking me questions in the live chat.
Yeah.
Anyway. Antecito, I did see JM react when he heard j.l.truth. I did see that physical reaction.
Yes, I caught that too. Yeah, because I had that on my phone as I was coming home to get this shit set up, and I did catch that. He was not happy.
That reaction was to me moving into the space in his head.
Yep.
And I will forever be there now. That was me. I accidentally banged my couch on the side, but now that I'm there.
You've marked your territory.
Rent free, baby.
So yeah. So anyway, that's patreon.com/theplothole, the number 1. Again, little $1 a month. You too can become a Plot Hole producer. It's a lot of fun. If you can do it, it's most appreciated. If not, like, subscribe, share with your friends. I like doing this because it's fun, and if you guys want to pay for it, I'll take your money, and I love you for it. And not in the Natalie way, by the way.
Okay.
He's got plenty of globe flyers to give you.
Yes, I have globe flyers that I will give you that don't cost you $250. And on that note, I'm gonna play the intro as the outro of Master Debaters. Wait a minute, let's make sure I put this in the right spot. I did that
That's
last
what she
time.
said.
Here it is.